Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Open. It is Wednesday, July 2nd. Your boy is early. Again, it's a new era. It's a new era for The Market Open. I mean, 2.5 years of being late by a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Now we're on time. Now we are on time. But although we're on time, it doesn't change the fact that we got some pretty crappy data this morning. And this data is a bit confusing. I think it's going to impact the market. So we're going to get right into it. We got ADP private payrolls that had a pretty big miss. So we'll talk about that. We also have Tesla deliveries in about, I think, 30 minutes, maybe a little less than 30 minutes. So that's going to be big for the market to see. And we'll talk more about that. But this is the big data we got this morning. Conflicts with what we got yesterday. It's a little ugly. And that's why the pre-markets are a bit red, even though the S&P 500 relatively is not really even moving that much to the downside. Private payrolls. Market wanted 100,000. ADP, private payrolls. We came in at negative 33. Negative 33. So although you guys in the chat called me the nephew of Powell because I was too late, I don't think I'm as late as Powell when it comes to this. I mean, yesterday, the JOLTS data said that we had 400,000 new job openings. The market didn't really interpret that as bullish or bearish, largely because JOLTS data for the past couple of years has been like, do we believe it? Do we not believe it? Are there ghost jobs? Are there not? This data, you kind of can't deny. These are from actual companies that are showing either they added or didn't add jobs in an aggregate basis. And in the month of June, there were 33,000 jobs in the private sector that were lost versus 100,000 jobs that were added. Which was to be expected. Now, tomorrow we're going to get non-farm payrolls, and that might have a little bit of a different number that also takes into account government jobs. So it's a bit more different than just the private sector. But the reason we had such a bad miss right here is because of services. According to ADP, June had the biggest drop in service jobs since the U.S. economy shut down in March of 2020, driven by just two categories of jobs. Now, why is this a big deal? Services are the bedrock of this economy. When I go to get a manicure and pedicure, that's a service that I'm ultimately paying for. If you go to get like a massage, that's a service you're paying for. So if there's less service jobs, that's because maybe your local mani-pedi shop says, hey, there's not enough people coming in to get a manicure or pedicure. We have to lay off some people, which means the question, the underlying structural question here that the market's going to be asking is, do people have the disposable income to be able to afford a manicure pedicure? And if they don't, are they getting laid off, or are things getting so tight? Is inflation getting really sticky? Do they feel from a consumer confidence perspective they don't have the money to spend on this stuff? And as a result, you're getting ADP service jobs show one of the lowest misses, or one of the worst misses since 2020, where we had a pandemic that was like stopping people from obviously getting services because the entire economy shut down. So this is a little weird, bro. This is a little weird. I'm not going to lie. This is one of the, I did not expect it to be as bad as it was. S&P 500 right here, not really reacting too much. I mean, it's down 0.12. Again, this market's very resilient. So my gut reaction would be that the markets are going to shrug this off because there's other things they can look to. NVIDIA right here, 151, down about 1%. Robinhood, down about 1%. Palantir down 0.5%. Tessie, actually green. We're going to get delivery numbers in about 30 minutes. We'll talk more about that. Google, flat. SoFi, down 0.79, not that crazy. Grab's down 0.2, Amazon's down 0.5. I mean, the markets, Meta's reacting a little bit more to some of the other news, but Meta's down about 1%. The jobs data you would think this would be the thing that takes the market down at least 1 or 2%. So far, no. So far, no, that's not happening. So the broader question now is, hey, what is the probability for that July cut? Because maybe Mr. Powell is looking at this and he's saying, all right, it's time to think more seriously that the labor market is weakening. I don't know how seriously he's going to think. The Fed future probabilities have bumped us up to 25. This number was at 18 a couple of days ago. So you got a 7% boost based on some of this job data. I mean, ultimately, we're going to see how this plays out. Let's get a little bit more coverage on this. But yeah, negative 33K versus 110K expected. I think Powell's going to be looking at this and trying to ask himself, maybe waiting is not the best idea when it comes to cuts.
Saps the strength of the labor market if you're not replacing those people who leave, so the total employment level would fall. I think the uncertainty may be a major role here. And I also think that we've heard a lot of stories about small businesses the ones who are importing stuff, the ones who take the imported stuff and make other stuff out of it, small manufacturers, they have been potentially hurt by this. Before any of the potential positives that are hoped for by the administration, the bringing back or the reshoring, before that has any effect. I think the key here, again, is this stability, which would people say, okay, I know what the tariffs are going to be. I know what the taxing is going to be. That would say, okay, I get the situation. Now I can right size my job, my employment, which may be higher, maybe lower, maybe the same. I would just point out, though, that it was the weakness in the job market. People debate the 50 basis point cut before the election. It was the weakness in the job market that was cited repeatedly by the Fed as to why they cut 50. They did so in a very different inflation environment than the one we have right now. And there are the probabilities now. I guess they're a little bit higher for October, a little bit higher for December.
Why was it a really different inflation environment?
Because you had declining inflation back then.
Come on. You had stagnant inflation back then, exactly like we have now. The sticky last mile. Really, nothing has changed except for the way the Fed talks about it. It really hasn't changed much, Steve. If you look at the core numbers on PC, the core numbers on a lot of the data points, they're kind of stuck between 2.5% and 3.1%. Really, nothing has changed on that front. There has been some uncertainty, but whether you look at things in the past like long-term capital, the credit crisis, uncertainty, exogenous issues always creep up, and the Fed seems to be able to determine policy before they happen. I'm not sure why tariffs are so damn different.
Rick, just real quick, you have a across the board at least 10% increase in imports, right? And that will mathematically
10% what? Wait, I didn't pick that up. 10% what?
An at least across the board 10% tariff likely to be put on imports. So that's going to have some mathematical effect.
Right. And you're making that the center of your worry bead universe, although it's what? Imports 11% of the economy. Once again, I will stress, we are overplaying the uncertainty Trump tariff card. And Trump's overplaying that he's not more hyperbole than fact on how rigid this is going to be.
What is it?
And both of these are going to meet. What is what? I think, we just made new all-time highs in stocks. I don't know. I think things are pretty darn good.
Rick, just
ironically, that may be the reason why Powell says it's not time to cut, because things are pretty darn good. I mean, this is the nuance here that I wonder what the Trump administration is going to be able to do in terms of spinning this narrative, because obviously Trump has been touting that the economy is really good from a job perspective, aka we have enough jobs. But he's also been saying inflation's been coming down. Basically, Trump has been saying, look, I'm the president that has created a Goldilocks zone. And what is that Goldilocks zone? That Goldilocks zone is inflation down, growth up, aka we can cut without having stagflation. Powell's argument over the past couple of weeks, even yesterday at the economic conference he was at, is that the Fed is expecting significantly, verbatim, he said the word significantly more levels of inflation throughout the second half of the year, and especially in the summer, because of tariffs. And now you're seeing the labor market start to weaken, which means they can cut, right? Because that's their tool in the arsenal when things are weakening to like help stimulate the economy, help protect themselves, have a cushion before shit hits the fan. But if inflation's really sticky, you can't cut. Or if you do cut, it's a very kind of scary time to cut, because then what if you do get up into stagflation? Now, we're going to get CPI and PPI next week, and that's going to really let us know if this is sticky. I mean, last CPI, PPI in June was amazing. PCE was not that good, but that's just one metric out of a lot of metrics that showed that we were going down. The next set of metrics next week are going to be really, really important to see. Is this actually sticky, or was that kind of like a one-off event, or did tariffs continue to raise prices to make it sticky? But ultimately, the labor market weakening and inflation potentially being sticky is the opposite of Goldilocks zone. That is the worst situation Trump could ask for as president. He's not going to get the cuts. And if anything, you're going to get consumer confidence going down, and you're probably going to get the stock market to take a little bit of a haircut if that's the way the economic data ends up shaping up. However, if the data really does get weaker, I mean, you're going to get Powell come in with the cut eventually. The problem for all of us as investors is that if the actual economy is getting weaker and then Powell cuts, that's not the right type of cut, right? That's going to be a type of cut that, for us really isn't going to be the best in the world, because it means there's actual weakness in the economy. In terms of ADP services, the two categories that had the worst drop off were information and trade, transportation, and utilities. So information services and trade, transportation, and utility services, those two categories led the way with the decline of negative 33,000 for this month. And services in and of itself was the, majority of the reason for why we came in negative versus coming in positive. So this one's going to be interesting. This one is going to be interesting to see kind of how it plays out. Not to mention, AI is coming soon. And obviously one has to, think that information services are being replaced by AI to an extent, which is actually, again, it's not a good reason jobs are being replaced, but in the context of the economy, it means that there will be margin efficiencies, productivity is going up, et cetera. So as investors, we should be able to see that in the bottom line of the companies that we're investing in. But then it begs the more existential question of what does that mean for those jobs? And can those people find other jobs? And that's, something that I don't know as an economy if we're ready to deal with, all of that going down over the next couple of years. One could argue that would create so much deflation that we would need to get rates to be down significantly. I mean, we don't talk about the fact that if AI really does take away a lot of jobs, we're not going to have that much inflation. And so there's going to be a lot of nuance to this. As of now, Trump says J. Powell needs to cut. The economic data, if you're just joining, thank you for being here. Good morning. Negative 33,000 jobs versus 100,000 expected. Conflicting with the JOLTS data from yesterday. A lot of people that said those 400,000 jobs were ghost jobs. One could argue that, you're kind of right, that it's not really having a meaningful impact in terms of the, because how do we add 400,000 new jobs in the job openings, but then we lose 33,000 jobs in the actual private payrolls? I mean, how is that consistent? If employers added 400,000 jobs, you're telling me they couldn't, or added 400,000 job openings, you're telling me they couldn't add at least 33,000 new jobs out of those 400,000? It makes you think that those job openings are not real job openings, right? At least that's what the data is suggesting from private payrolls. So this is one that we're gonna have to watch out for. And non-farm payrolls tomorrow might be conflicting with this as well, but we're gonna see kind of how that plays out tomorrow morning. Tesla deliveries, that is coming out, folks, very soon. The street is expecting, let me pull up the actual chart right here. The street is expecting about 390K. However, the street's also not really expecting 390K. So again, street thinks around, or street 385. Street's thinking 385. And as you can see right here in this model that we have with a variety of different research firms, the actual median delivery, most likely, the street's expecting 382. So that's lowering the expectations again. Most people are expecting 360 on Wall Street. So if we come in at 360 versus 382, I think you could kind of say it's not a sell the news, because it's like, all right, the market did expect it to be a little crappy and we'll be okay. But if it comes in at like 330, 340, that would be very crappy. Now, the question is, and this is the poll I'm going to do right here in the chat, does that mean Tesla dumps? Because we saw this time. Tesla had some crappy numbers. It dumped 5%. And then immediately it moved on. I mean, it kind of recovered intraday. So I don't know, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards Tesla will pump on the numbers just because all the bad news is baked in. This is exactly what happened last time. Maybe I'm wrong. But the more obvious answer is to say, hey, if it has a really bad number, it'll dump. But how bad? Negative 15% miss. I think Tesla can handle. It's like a 30, 40% miss. We come in below 200,000 cars. Yeah, this thing's going down. But if it's 330 to 360, I don't think the street's going to take it down this much. Especially given the fact that it came down from 350 over the past couple weeks, right? So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out. 325 shot in the dark, 330. A lot of you guys saying 330 right here. I'm going to put out 350. That's my number. Well, technically, they had 330 last time, right? So even 350 feels aggressive. Yeah, 340. I guess I'll do 340. 340 is my number. I think 340, maybe we don't dump that hard. If we go below 320, I feel like that's a little ugly. But if it's below 300, if it comes at 284, that's going to be surprising to me. That's going to be like people just unilaterally decided we are not buying Teslas. And I was on the phone with Adam Bergman yesterday. You guys know Adam, friend of the channel. He just bought his Model Y 3 weeks ago. And literally, he's like, I will never buy another car that's not a Tesla because of FSD. He's like, I 5 minutes to the gym, FSD. 10 minutes to the grocery store, FSD. He is in love with FSD. Has absolutely changed his perspective on the concept of driving. And he's like, I don't care about fancy cars anymore. I just want my car to be able to drive me. And so the experience is just so amazing once you actually get in there. But most people don't experience that. Tesla really doesn't do a great job advertising the experience. I mean, there are people that buy Teslas that have no idea they can drive itself. And that should be the first. I mean, they should have a year free of FSD. I don't know why Tesla does a month free. They're not even making that much money on it in terms of their margins. They should literally give it to you for free when you get a Tesla, just so you get so hooked onto it that eventually you start paying for. But ultimately, we're going to see these numbers in the morning in about, I think, 20 minutes. 9:15ish is when we get the numbers. So we're going to see. We're going to see what it looks like. Here is what Bessent said yesterday when it came to Elon. Obviously, Elon and Trump having their little rift. Elon actually did put out a tweet yesterday, maybe, trying to praise Trump, potentially mend some of the bridges. But here's what Bessent had to say yesterday about Elon Musk.
I'll stick to finance, and I am confident that this bill is going to pay down the debt. And there were 50 senators who weren't threatened by his words. And Vice President Vance stepped in. They broke the tie in the Senate. And now we're moving into the House. And President Trump has shown incredible leadership on this. And in conjunction with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, I think that.
And I think if we missed the quote right before he got into the big, beautiful bill stuff, the exact quote, I'll play this right here, was this.
I'll stick to finance. And, I am confident
about this.
Well, as I said earlier this morning, I think if Elon sticks to rockets, I'll stick to finance. And
so that's the part that's going a little viral. I mean, we know Bessent and Elon got into a little scruffle a couple months ago that, Trump said didn't get physical, but you have a lot of people that said they were pushing each other and all this stuff. They were definitely yelling at each other. So the argument is Elon should stick to rockets. I'll stick to finance, AKA we're going to get this big, beautiful bill passed and Elon can't do anything about it. Elon's obviously been pretty upset about it, threatening to run a third party. That's kind of really what got Tesla down 10% over the past couple of days. Will that happen? Who knows? But nonetheless, Bessent and I think the entire administration is finally happy to get this bill across the board. It should be passing in the next couple of days without having to deal with Elon.
They're going to hold the majorities together and push this forward.
So you're not worried about Musk's threat to primary people with all the money he has?
I think that everyone is with President Trump.
Tesla's pumping. Tesla's pumping. Do we have the number? Hold on. Oh, do we have it? What do we got? Let me see. That it has to be a good number. It has to be a number that's relatively decent, right? That's kind of good. 310. Does it hold on to that candle though? 3%. I mean, it looks like it wants to hold on to that candle. I thought the numbers were at 915. All right, the numbers are right now. Let me see if I can get it. I don't have it yet. Let me see here. I don't see it on their website. Oh, I got it. 384. Oh, this is good. Come on. This is great. This is phenomenal. This is not bad. This is great. 313. 313 on Tesla, up 4%. 384 versus 389. 384 versus 389. Dude, talk about a nothing burger. Talk about people freaking out for no reason. 384, that's 5,000 less than expected. That's great. That is absolutely great. Okay, so this one, 315. There you go on Tessie, 315. 5% pump right here. Question becomes, does this get us back into 330s, which is where it was at before the Elon Trump tweets? Elon did tweet something yesterday giving Trump credit about like helping solve world peace. So that actually, I was up last night when he tweeted and the stock went positive on that news just because, the market was like, all right, Elon's being nice again to Trump. So that was something bullish. And then you got Tesla right here on a great number. Yeah, brand damage my ass, right? I mean, I don't know, dude. Where's the brand? 5,000 cars less than expected. It doesn't feel that much of a argument around brand damage. Here's the thing. Is earnings going to be that bad now? Can you actually say earnings is going to be that bad? I mean, part of the reason that people said for earnings being bad in Q1 was the delivery numbers being so bad, right? If the delivery numbers were so bad, that would craze the pain for like the actual unit economics of the earnings. Now, the earnings are still probably going to suck because deliveries are not amazing, right? They're not beating expectations. They're probably still losing money on those cars and the margins, but they're not going to be like, oh my goodness, this is the worst quarter ever. And I mean, from these numbers, it doesn't look like Q2 is going to be as bad as Q1. Year over year, what is that growth? Okay, that's a good question. Let me pull up on their investor page and try to get some more of these details. So they produced 396. They produced 410. They delivered 384. 9.6 gigawatts of energy, 410,000 delivered over 384. Last year, let's see, Tesla Q2 2024 deliveries. Last year was 443. Correct me if I'm wrong, 443. So obviously it's declining year over year, but at this point, the market's about expectations, right? 384 versus 443. That's a pretty decent decline, but that is not what the market cared about. 322, up 7%. There you go. There you go. Tessie not really showing that much pain. Tesla deliveries 384K versus 389K expected. I mean, look, so yeah, it's definitely brand damage from last year. Obviously, if they were selling 450 and now they're doing 380. So like year over year, there's some brand damage, but against the expectations, I mean, again, I just showed you guys what Wall Street said. Consensus was 382, but then the actual estimates were around 340, 350. I mean, we're nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. Now, is the pump sustainable? I mean, we're going to ultimately see if it can play out. Obviously, this could be a lot of just short-term volatility, people just trading it up. People are obviously still going to be afraid of earnings, but this thing fell to 290, back to 319. Elon could tweet something, this thing could come right back down. But the actual numbers, regardless of the stock, do not feel that bad. Do not feel that bad. And granted, they did have a lot of incentives. They had 1.9% APR. They had 0% APR on Cybertrucks if you got FSD. So they had these incentives, which signals that like they needed to do something to get people to get in the door. But the incentives, there you go, 0% on the Cybertruck right there. The incentives might have got people in the door. And you got Tesla right here that's not getting hit that badly. Kathy Wood did buy 50,000 shares yesterday. That's correct. Kathy Wood did buy 50,000 shares. Let's get some coverage on deliveries, and then we will keep going from there.
Second quarter, and Philip O has them for us. Phil, how they looking?
They're roughly in line with expectations, David. 384,122 vehicles delivered in the second quarter by Tesla. The consensus estimate on FactSet going into this morning was 387,000. I wouldn't call this a miss. I'd say roughly in the neighborhood of what people were expecting. We should point out that production coming in at 244 vehicles. If you're looking at shares and saying, well, that's a decent little pop on shares of Tesla on these delivery numbers, keep in mind that there were a number of analysts, and I read probably 10 notes in the last couple of days. A number of those analysts were expecting the delivery number to come in closer to 355,000, maybe 360,000. So a little bit better than some of the analysts were expecting. To Tesla delivering 384,122 vehicles, just shy of the consensus estimate of 387,000. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and we can see the stock is reacting positively to that. Phil, yesterday it was a lot of back and forth as well between sort of us as I tried to understand. We were trying to make we were trying to explain the difference between regulatory credits that Tesla has lived off of to help boost earnings in terms of greenhouse gas emissions versus the big, beautiful bill, which is doing away with the tax credits that buyers get when they buy it. But on that other side, which has been so important to Tesla, I know you've done reporting on this and I've been asking you about it. Nothing has changed as of now. Is that correct?
Correct. Nothing has changed. And that is tied into the greenhouse gas emissions. If the EPA and the White House at some point make a move to make a change there, that may have huge implications for Tesla. But those zero emission vehicle credits, of which you pointed out yesterday, I think last year it was $2.4 billion that they received money from other automakers and other companies outside of the auto industry, where those companies need those credits in order to meet greenhouse gas emission standards. They buy those credits from Tesla, from other companies. Rivian sells greenhouse gas emission credits. So that's how that stands right there, David. That's very real money to the bottom line of Tesla. But that has not changed at all. The big, beautiful bill completely focused on the $7,500 credit that you or I or anybody would get for buying an electric vehicle. That's the change that's happening there.
And that could lead to more issues with Tesla. I mean, obviously, if people don't get that $7,500 credit, that definitely will deter some people from buying a car. I think that's also why Elon's been so pissed off over the past couple days because oil companies still have subsidies, but Tesla loses its subsidy. Trump's response yesterday was, hey, Elon knew I was going to do this. I don't know why he's upset now. And, Elon's kind of just at this point realizing that he can't do much about this. But Tesla right here, 317.53, up 6%. I think in about 20 minutes, we're going to see if the market really thinks this is enough to move on and price in a relatively okay earnings versus the worst case scenario, or if the market sells this off. I mean, I don't know, dude. The poll in the chat on the pump or dump, it is 55% of you guys said dump. All right, so we got the opposite right here on the numbers. We got a pump. I'll do another poll right here. Does Tesla end the day red or flat? Let's see. Let's see if sentiment has changed just based on these numbers. So you got 6% right here. If this sells off and goes flat, I think that would be pretty remarkable. That would be the market saying we just don't trust Tesla even after these numbers because of politics, Elon, deliveries, whatever it may be, or earnings. But if this continues to go higher, maybe gap up to 330, maybe the street's like, all right, the worst has been kind of priced in and factored in. It's kind of helping the whole market right here, dude. Pouncer's pumping a little bit. Robinhood's pumping a little bit. It makes sense because when Elon tweeted the whole politics thing 2 nights ago, the entire market overnight, everything went down because like Tesla's such a big part of the market and kind of got the entire sentiment of the market to take a little bit of a hit. Apple's up a little bit. SMCI's up a little bit. I mean, even this Tesla news is good enough to see a little bit of difference across the indices. S&P is barely flat, down 0.08. Again, if you're just joining, we had ADP private payrolls come in negative 33,000 versus 100,000 expected. Pretty ugly number. Markets so far don't care. Markets so far in the pre-market don't care. Oh, it's a yes or no question. Oops. Let me do it again. Yeah, no obviously means my bad, dude. YouTube always has the yes or no as the default. Okay, does Tesla end the day red or green? I think we'll do that. Red, green. So is it red in terms of like this 5% goes down, red/flat? Or, do we hold a minimum of this 5%? I think we hold this. I don't know if we hold 5% exactly, but I think we hold some green. To see this 316 go back to 300 would be astonishing. I mean, it would just mean the street has zero trust in Tesla right here. And I don't know. I think these delivery numbers are way better than what was actually expected, and that's enough to get the street to give it a little bit of a bid. But we are going to see. Transitioning to insurance. So Oscar took a little bit of a hit yesterday. It's taking more of a hit, down about 12.2%. Not only did they get a price target this morning that was initiated by Barclays at $12, Barclays not being the most, $17. They are not the most bullish about Oscar. But they're underweight. It's not like they hate it, but they just think their EPS is a bit overhyped against the actual street expectations. So they have a $17 price target. You also had a company yesterday that took away guidance, 2025 guidance. And what is the name of the company? Someone help me with the ticker. It's like CCO or something. It's a very important healthcare company that after hours was down 20% after they came out and said, hey, we're taking away our full fiscal year 2025 guidance, presumably on the idea that there's going to be some issues with ACA, Medicare, Medicaid, the big, beautiful bill, and they kind of can't, CNC, there you go, CNC can't guide as easily as they were guiding before, and that's hurting all the insurance companies. Yeah, this one down 32% in the pre-markets, $30 billion company. They're a healthcare enterprise which engages in the provision of programs and services to government-sponsored healthcare programs. It operates through the following segments: Medicare, Medicaid, and commercial products from the private sector. Medicare and Medicaid kind of on the chopping block from a perspective of how much money and subsidies they're going to get based on this big, beautiful bill, which just got passed through the Senate yesterday. And because it got passed through the Senate yesterday, there is a good shot it gets passed through the House today, if not today, tomorrow. And that's kind of bearish for Oscar. Now, UNH, one of the reasons UNH pumped yesterday is because employees have the ability to buy stock over today and over yesterday and today. So because employees get a discount at which they get to buy stock, you have a ton of demand coming in from employee stock option compensation plans of them being able to naturally give a bid to UNH. So that's why it was up 6%, I think, in anticipation of employees getting ready to buy stock. However, that this news is not really bullish for UNH because, I mean, if you got a relatively large company in the healthcare space saying we're taking away our entire fiscal year guidance because of concerns around Medicare, Medicaid, and what it means from the big, beautiful bill, then Oscar, which is a much smaller company than CNC, what are they going to guide for? Now, granted, the Oscar Bulls will say that their guidance in the beginning of the year already said, hey, we don't need to worry about this issue, right? Like we are already guiding for us to be profitable and have our adjusted EBITDA margins be where they are without any of the subsidies. But the street might not believe that. The street might not believe that. And so as a result, that's why Oscar, theoretically, this dip could be viable, but ultimately we're going to have to see. I think the biggest thing for Oscar is a lot of people were freaking out last night that Oscar went from like 21 to 17. One of the reasons I still have not bought Oscar is because I just don't understand the healthcare space as well. Like, I think it's undervalued? Yeah. But do I want to, deeply study the healthcare space and commit to learning about it because I have a position? Not that much. So I think a lot of people that bought it just for the hell of it is one of those things where you got to now become a healthcare expert. You got to learn about the ACA. You got to learn about Medicare, Medicaid subsidies, and that stuff. If you don't have the time or don't care about doing it, you could have a negative 20% after hours and not know why the hell it's happening, right? Or not know if it's worth buying the dip. Because some of the Oscar Bulls I talked to yesterday, they were like, dude, this is the easiest buy the dip ever. But is it if you don't know about? So it's one of those things that I definitely think requires a little bit of industry knowledge if you're going to at least commit to the position. 59% of you say Tesla will end the day green. 59% say Tesla will end the day green. Tesla right here, 316 right now. It's losing a little bit of its pump already. Pumped to 321, now back to 316. And when the market's open in about 15 minutes, we're going to see if it can continue to stay on and be green. NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, again, a little bit of a downtrend right here, down about 3% for the week. I think for NVIDIA, story is pretty simple. Again, you either believe in AI, you believe in their growth metrics or not. The China revenue might be coming back towards the end of the year, but you don't have to expect it. And the street now is not expecting it either. Loop Capital raised them to 250 last week. So all the NVIDIA bull arguments are still there. I just think people are taking some profits. Same thing with Palantir. I think people are taking some profits. I know people are freaking out that NVIDIA and Palantir have fallen after rallying, damn near 50% over the past 2 months. And I just don't think it's that big of a deal. NVIDIA got out of that 115 to 120 purgatory it was stuck at. Palantir, rallied from $60 all the way to 148. Now it's at 130. Like, I just think as we get into the month of July, which tends to be one of the best months of the year, up 1.28% on average over the past 10 years. On the first week, you're going to have some portfolio managers look at their winners and say, hey, maybe it's time to rebalance, which is not the craziest idea. Palantir did announce a partnership today. We're launching Warp Speed for warships with Blue Forge US to accelerate shipbuilding, boost fleet readiness, and power the Navy's digital transformation, ensuring America's maritime dominance for the future. Now, the shipbuilding business for Palantir has been an incredible business, and they've worked with Hyundai Heavy Industries in South Korea. They have a massive partnership with them there. It looks like they're taking Warp Speed, which is their essentially reindustrialization, American manufacturing vertical in the software suite that they offer for that industry. And they're bringing it now to maritime readiness and dominance when it comes to warships for Blue Forge US. So again, Palantir just finding new ways to implement their different operating systems in different industries. We had the nuclear partnership last week, $100 million deal, which was a nice deal to see as well. Regardless, streets priced in a lot of growth and people might be taking some profits, which is, a healthy pullback. I think it's a very, 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 very healthy pullback, and it's not that big of a deal. And the reason AMD is following is because, AMD tends to follow NVIDIA. NVIDIA is not going to go down 8% in NVIDIA or 3% in NVIDIA is going to be, up at all-time highs. So AMD, 134. It was at 146. I mean, like if you've been buying AMD below 100, you kind of can't complain. Same thing with NVIDIA. Buying it at 120, you just can't complain that it's not at 159 anymore. So this is relatively healthy to me. It's not as concerning. And the question is just going to be, how it continues to play out throughout the rest of June. Robinhood holding the 90s really nicely. I mean, after we got that private payroll number, I thought there might be a shot. We see below 90. We were at like 90.5. We have not seen below 90 since the event. Even yesterday, when things got a little iffy in the middle of the day and everything started falling, still Robinhood held 90. So it is holding 90 like a champ. And it's going to need some pretty strong macro data to take this down. But there are plenty of buyers in the 90s that are willing to scoop up some Robinhood. And it's been very nice to see that it's been holding these levels. Where is Bitcoin? Let's take a look at the rest of the pre-market. Bitcoin right here, 107. That's green. App 11, 340. That's green. Duolingo, 400. That's slightly red. Disney, 123. That's down about 0.5%. Nubank, that's up just a little bit. Intel right here, up 1.05%. Where is Big Bear AI? That is down 3%. Tom Lee's Insurance, not insurance, is Ethereum company. That's up 10%. That one not slowing down. Grab did get a price target yesterday to $6 from CFRA Research. If you go to my Twitter, you can see the screenshot of the actual note. But yeah, they put out a new price target. They initiated coverage and they put it at $6. SoFi right here, 1754. SoundHound is at 1044. That's down a little bit. D-Wave, that's our quantum. That's up about 1.42%. Amazon right here, 219. Jeff Bezos did sell about 3 million shares yesterday as well. Meta, 714. That's down 1%. Salesforce, 271. That is also flat. And Apple, which is having a hell of a week, 209. Based on a variety of different news pieces that came out, it kind of seems like Apple is becoming a little bit of a value play. I know the valuation is not quote unquote deep value, but the market's saying, hey, what hasn't run? Apple. Jason, yesterday on Technical Tuesday, he gave us a stat. Apple is one of the top performing stocks in the entire market every year for the past 20 years in the month of July. And he's expecting around 220 based on the historical patterns that Apple has been trading at from a percentage gain in July. So that's kind of his target for the end of July. And, August, September, the market tends to be weak, so that could get pulled back. But Apple maybe, which has been lagging all year, still red for the year, gets a little bit of a bid as we head into the month of July. Google right here, 175. That's also down about 0.5%. So that's what we got in the context of some of the stuff going on in the pre-market. Tessie right here. All right, giving back some of the gains. It was at 320, got to 313, now at 315. I mean, it's up 5%. It was up almost 8%. In 9 minutes when the market opens, we're going to see if this gets dumped, if people use this as an opportunity to get the hell out, or if people say, nope, I'm buying back in. These are great numbers. In about 9 minutes, we're going to see kind of what that looks like. Let's go back to Bessent because we got deliveries in the middle of him, and then we'll keep going from there.
That it's his leadership that's going to move this forward more than anybody's checkbook.
And Mr. Secretary, the Fed chair made a very interesting and frankly stunning admission today. Watch this.
Would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time. As long as the U.S. economy is in solid shape, we think the prudent thing to do is to wait and learn more and see what those effects might be. And again, they haven't really shown up. For now, we're waiting.
Mr. Secretary, Powell hates the tariffs. That's clear. And he said it's the best approach. Just be prudent and patient. Your reaction tonight?
Well, Laura, I can tell you that the overall Fed board has had two reactions to the tariffs, and it's a little bewildering to me why this wouldn't have pushed them more towards a cut or has put them on hold, because the Fed publishes something called the Summary of Economic Projections. They raise their inflation forecast, and my hunch is that's going to be wrong, but they lowered their growth forecast. So if you're lowering growth forecast, then why wouldn't you proceed? We saw, I'm just basing Fed behavior on past behavior, and we got a 50 basis point cut last September, and inflation was higher, and so I don't know. I guess this tariff derangement syndrome happens even over at the Fed.
A different type.
So you got Bessent saying it's tariff derangement syndrome. I mean, we're going to see, bro. We're going to see. The thing about this that's going to get everyone to shut up, including the administration, is if we actually see massive levels of inflation in the next 4 months, really next 3 months before September, and it's attributed to tariffs, and Jay Powell is right, or Jay Powell is seen as like the person who was right about all this. I mean, I don't know what Trump's going to say. I don't know what Trump's going to say. Tariffs are currently generating over $300 billion in revenue. Here's a new chart by Bank of America. This is an increase from closer to $80 billion a year ago. So there's your offset on all the inflation that we're going to bring in $300 billion in revenue. But nonetheless, if there is inflation, which theoretically could reduce consumer demand because of tariffs, which again, I don't really believe the tariffs are going to create this massive amount of inflation. Will there be some inflation? Sure. Will it be inflation to the point where Jay Powell's like, oh my goodness, we can never cut rates again? Like, no, I don't think so. And that's how he's acting. But what if it is? What if it is that bad? Like, if it is that bad, I mean, like, if J-Powell's been right the whole time and we see like 4% on CPI or something, which again, I'm being dramatic. I think that would be very hyperbolic. It quite frankly would kind of ruin a good amount of this bull market if we got anywhere near those levels of inflation. Tesla right here at 314. But if we get close to that, I think that's where I don't know what Trump says. I don't know if he can blame Biden for that. I don't know if he can blame Biden for that at that point. But nonetheless, we are generating some tax revenue. So 300 billion. We haven't collected 300 billion yet. We're on pace to generate over 300 billion of revenue. And that's coming from the tariffs. Now, granted, yesterday Trump said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to push the July 9th deadline. Hey, I don't know if we're going to get a deal with Japan. So he might be saying a lot of this stuff to try to push these countries to a deal. There was a Politico article that came out yesterday that said the administration is not focused on getting massive deals anymore. They're focused on getting smaller deals with some of these countries to like quote them as like wins, so they can at least show the American people that, hey, we've got some of these, deals in place, which kind of to me signals they don't really have the deals. And they've been screaming about India and Japan. And from everything we've seen with Japan, like, it doesn't look like a deal is likely. Trump literally said yesterday, I don't think a deal with Japan is likely. India is the next one up. Maybe we get that deal. But if not, then, it's one of those things where we're going to have to see when these deals come in place, if there are any of these deals. And I think that's going to be, something that we have to factor into, at least the multiple compression or the multiple expansion that could turn into compression that we're seeing in the stock market. But as of now, we're not seeing it yet. Here is one stat that is relatively bullish. And we looked at some of the July data yesterday. 2025 is in rare company with stocks down in Q1, but then up more than 10% in Q2. The historical weak Q3 has never been lower than Q2 and has been up 10% on average. And the rest of the year is close to up 20%. So when stocks are down in Q1, but then by Q2, they come back positive by at least double digits. Q3 on average tends to be positive, and the rest of the year tends to be up 20%. The last example we had of this was 2020. We were down 20% in Q1. By Q2, we were up 20%. We recovered. By Q3, we were up another 11%. By the rest of the year, we had another 14% gain, and that ended out to be a very, very positive year for the S&P 500. And it's happened 100% of the time. When we're down Q1 and we're up Q2 by at least 10%, Q3 is green, and then the rest of the year ends up being green. So historically, if we follow in this pattern, just based on looking at the data, that might be another reason to at least be bullish for the second half of the year. Here is another thing that I think we can all expect going into Q2 earnings. We got the market open in 3 minutes. Hedge funds bought financial stocks, your Bank of Americas, your JP Morgans, your Goldman Sachs, etc., at the fastest pace last week, from June 20th to June 26th, since 2016. And the reason for that, I think, is because IPOs, M&As, all the different fees that they're collecting, deregulations coming up, SLR ratios are going to be reduced. Like, you're getting a lot of this bullish momentum from the big, beautiful bill and from how the Treasury is thinking of changing the financial regulatory landscape for a lot of these banks. JP Morgan yesterday, $50 billion buyback, increased their dividend from 140 to 150. And another one of these companies, I think it was Goldman Sachs, increased their dividend as well by about 20 cents. Wells Fargo, I think it was. And, you got the bank saying, hey, we're in a healthy enough position to not only buy back our stock, but we can increase our dividend. They all passed the stress test as well last Friday. So if banks have a good earnings, which I expect them to have, and I think that's why hedge funds are loading up on financials as much as they can, hopefully that paves the way for tech to have a good earnings, and then hopefully we just have a really good Q2 from an earnings perspective. And if not expand the multiple on the broader market, at least maintaining this multiple, I think is going to be very important. All right, folks, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes until the market opens. Tesla, all eyes will be on Tesla to see how this one's opens up. We were up 8% at one point. Now it's up 4%. If it can hold, then that would be amazing based on this data. 56% of you believe Tesla will end the day green over red. And in about 2 minutes, we are going to see how this one opens up. I think it ends green. I don't know if it ends, up 4%, up 5%, but I think it ends green. I think this is enough of a beat against the expectations where the market says, all right, we're not necessarily going to have to take this down. Now, if Elon tweets something or whatever, who knows? But it is getting faded a little bit already. So when this market opens, we're going to see how this plays out. All right, we got about a minute. Just a reminder, there will not be a market close today. I am going to be interviewing someone in New York. So I will be out of here at around 11 a.m. in about an hour and a half. I think you guys will really appreciate the interview. You guys will like it. It'll be a fun one. and that'll be posted on Friday. There's no market open on Friday because the markets are closed for Independence Day, so I'll post that on Friday. But I think you guys will like it. So it is not Dan Ives. It is not Vlad. Vlad's in France trying to tokenize the world. It's not Carp. It's not Steve. Although I was on the phone with Steve. Steve will not talk about his political beliefs on the show, but I asked him, all right, so now that we're not live, what do you really think about Mamdani? And we had an hour-long conversation. It was great. It was great. But I got to hear the real thoughts that Steve thinks about Mamdani. But I think it'll be good. I think you guys will enjoy it. All right, here we go. Wednesday, July 2nd, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Let's get into it. Tessie 309. All right, so you got your red candle right there, 308.5. The question is, how bad does it get? Does it hold at these levels? Is there enough support? Down 2.7% right here, where it was at 321 on that initial number, 384 versus 389 expected. When it came to deliveries for Q2, 309.5, getting faded from the top. Does it have to go red? Doesn't have to. If it does, I would be rather astonished that it gave up the entire gain. But 310 right here, maybe that's where it kind of bottoms out and you get some buyers to come in. Palantir 132, that's up about 1.5%. Robin at 92.21, that's basically flat on the day. Tessie right here 311. Nvidia 153, that's green. AMD 136, that's about to go green. S&P basically flat. Again, non-farm or ADP private payrolls negative 33,000 versus 100,000 expected. It was a really nasty number, way more jobs that we lost than we were expected to gain. S&P not really reacting. 617 right here on the S&P 500. Grab from 492 to 504. So Grab up 2%. Grab getting a little bit of love right here. Google 175. That's flat. SoFi 1775. That's green. Reddit 152. That's green. Amazon 219. That's flat. Meta 715. That's recovering from the pre-markets. Apple right here 208. Up about 0.43. SMCI up about 0.36. Bitcoin 107. Pfizer up 0.4. Whereas Tessie 309. All right. So Tessie trying to figure out if it's going to break that 308 level that it hit, 307.50 that it hit just now, or if it can hold above 310. Robinhood 93. Back to 93 on the hood. That is Robin. Google 176. SoFi 1776. Where is the lab of rockets? Rocket Lab 3426. All right, so Rocket Lab down 5%. I don't think anyone can complain. It's been a great month for Rocket Lab, but it is down from that 37 level. ASTS, this stock, 45.57. That's up 1%. What about Himmy Hims? That's flat at 48. Oscar is down 16%. Again, one of the biggest healthcare companies took away their fiscal year guidance yesterday. That is not good for all the insurance names, and I think that's the main reason why Oscar is getting hit, along with the potential ramifications of subsidies from the ACA in the big beautiful bill. UNH, that stock down 2%. So UNH kind of not really feeling the pain, but Oscar, much smaller company, much more reliant on that stuff, is feeling the pain. Robinhood back to 94. So Robinhood getting some love. Tessie still holding 309. Grab at 503. SoFi 1770. AMD 136. Googs goes green at 176. AMD again is at 136. That one goes green. In terms of all the semis, kind of flat. Lam Research down. Micron's down about 2% after a great earnings. Broadcom's basically flat. SMCI is green. TSM's green. Qualcomm is green. Jason likes Qualcomm for the month of July. Jason does like Qualcomm. This is one of the only semis that hasn't moved this year. It's barely up like 3%. They have some deals with Apple. Jason's bullish on Apple in July, so that could be a reason why Qualcomm potentially gets a little bit of a bid. NVIDIA right here, 154. So NVIDIA going green, which is nice to see. In terms of the Mag 7, we are red across the board except for NVIDIA, Tesla, and Apple. Amazon's red, we're green for NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple. Amazon's red, Google's red, Meta's red, and Microsoft's red. Microsoft right here, 489. That is down from 494, where it was yesterday. Robin at 95. Wow. Hoodie holding on. Up 3% on the day. Hoodie holding on. Not bad. Palantir 132. Also not bad. Up 1%. Then Tessie. It's not collapsing below 309, which I think is nice to see, right? It's not getting hit below 309. I mean, it looked like it was on a downtrend right when it opened up, and it's like there's enough buyers coming in right at these levels. It doesn't look strong, though. I mean, I would want to see like back to 312, 314 to like see this one has a little bit of momentum to the upside. 308 right there on Tesla. We're going to have to see if people sell, if they fade the news or if they say deliveries are better than expected, which means earnings will be better than expected. AMD 135 and then SoFi 769. S&P down a little bit right here, 616.83. Marathon This company, Bitcoin miner, is up about 3.4%. What about CleanSpark? They are also up 5%. What about IREN? They are also up 4%. What about Hut 8 Mining? They are also up 13%. Why are all the Bitcoin miners moving today? Why are all the Bitcoin miners moving? BMNR, Tom Lee's company, is up 7%. Tom Lee's company is up 7%. Delta's down 2%. Okay, Delta's down. What about United? United's down 2%. What's going on with the airlines? Southwest is flat. What about JetBlue? This is a triple V stock. JetBlue down 1.5. That is weird. Airlines getting a little bit of a hit. Oil prices are up a little bit. Maybe that could be causing it. They're up about 1%, but that's not that dramatic. Grab right here, 507. So Grab getting a little bit of love. Tessie 307. All right, it hit below 307, 306.91. All right, this is where it gets a little scary. I mean, you got to see, is there any support for this thing? Is there any support for this? Yeah, the Bitcoin miner is doing great today. Oscar calls wrecked. Yeah, Oscar is a little ugly, 17%. See, I intelligently cannot speak about the Affordable Care Act or subsidies in regards to Oscar. Like, I just can't. And so that's one of the other reasons I do think it's cheap. I'm not like it. Absolutely. When you look at the discounted cash flow models, when you look at just projecting even 5% revenue growth, like it is cheap objectively as a stock. The multiples are cheap and it has not been getting one of those premium multiples. But part of the reason is because of a day like this, where another healthcare company takes away their guidance because of the potential ramifications of the big, beautiful bill. And one could argue the street was kind of correct to just say, hey, we're going to chill out a little bit because we don't know what the impact is going to be on an Oscar. Now, if you're a mega bull and you understand the nuances, then this is a buy the dip. It's an easy buy the dip, 17% down. But if you barely know about it, just you heard about it on Twitter, right? Like it's hard to justify getting that excited about it. NVIDIA right here, 154, Tessie 308. Tessie doing a good job at least holding the 308 and 309s. But you got a bit of a green candle right there. Googs 175, S&P 616, and then Robinhood 94. 74. Where's Enphase and the solar stocks? Enphase is up 4%. SolarEdge, I think they're getting a little bit of a sympathy pump on the solar stocks because maybe there's going to be some subsidies or some amendments that change the solar credits that are going to be given in this big, beautiful bill. They're still going to be pretty bad. They're going to be nothing like they were back in 2022, but they might be not as worse that the market expected like a couple weeks ago when those stocks got hit almost 40%. And so that could be a reason why those are pumping a little bit right here. Apple, are we at 211 on Apple? Wow, 210.6 on Appy. Apple coming back from the dead, bro. Stuck at 195 for like the longest. Apple's here. Not too bad. Now, why is Micron down? Dude, I don't know. They had a phenomenal earnings. This is weird to me, bro. Like nothing they said in their earnings or their calls signaled that you would sell this thing other than it being up 40% and people want to take profits, which, you know, is inevitable. But that one was weird to me. I did not expect that one to get hit like this. Nike continuing to have one of its best 3-day stretches in the past 15 years. Nike right here, 74, up from about 62. Is Grab still moving a little bit? 508. All right, not bad. I the only thing I can attribute this to is they got a price target increase by CFRA Research yesterday to $6. Now, one of the things about Grab is they've been getting more volume every day. Like on average, their volume is 30 million. They've been getting around 45 to 50 million shares traded a day. So you are seeing the attention kind of pick up and Grab in terms of volume. The put call ratio is 0.18, which is really good. That means there's a million calls, like barely 200,000 puts. So you do have a lot more bullish momentum versus bearish momentum from the options market. But overall, I think earnings will, you know, really tell the story, and earnings probably at the end of July, we're going to see. Oscar still getting hit right here, down 17%. UNH not getting hit in the same way. UNH is down, but not down as bad. Google right here, 175, basically flat. NVIDIA, 155. NVIDIA showing some signs of life. Some signs of life. Datadog, some of these software companies, that's flat. How about Adobe? Figma's going public, folks. Let me know in the chat if you used Figma before at your job. If you work at a startup, Figma is one of the premier companies. They have 13 million monthly active users. They're growing 48%. They're profitable, and they have 100 million in Bitcoin and $1 billion in cash. I mean, dude, if you talk about IPO, and they have a founder-led company, you talk about an IPO that looks attractive. I think they're only targeting a $20 billion valuation, which I think that valuation is going to get up to a minimum of $35 billion, probably when they go public, either through the underwriters or through just like people bidding it up, when they officially are ready to get listed. It's one of the most attractive IPOs I've seen. It really is. It really is one of the most attractive IPOs. Palantir right here, 132. So that would be nice to see if that gets some love. Oscar is still getting hit, 17.19. Where is Lemonade? Lemonade is down 4% as well. Yeah, a lot of you say you use Figma. There you go. Shad says, I'm a software engineer. I worked with Figma. Royal says Figma's awesome. Yash says I use it for my work. For those that don't know it, it is a platform that allows you to design products. It's a collaborative interface tool with employees. So if you have two people that are working on a new page inside of an app, you use Figma and you collaborate on it. You create mock-ups. And now AI is enhancing all the things that you can do on this. And it sounds like a simple idea, but they've just scaled incredibly well. I mean, they have $1 billion in cash. They only raised $790 million in venture capital. That's how efficient these guys were. They have $1 billion in cash right now, and they only raised $700 million in the past 15 years of building the company. Like, that's unheard of. You don't see that pretty often from a startup, especially a startup that's scaled as fast as they have, and they're profitable. So I like it, dude. I really want to see what the valuation looks like, but it's one of the best IPOs I've seen so far. NVIDIA, 154.84. Tessie still holding on to 308, basically hovering in that 307 to 310 range that we're seeing right here. They got that $1 billion actually because Adobe tried to buy them out, and because Adobe couldn't finish the buyout process, there was a $1 billion breakup fee. There's a $1 billion breakup fee. So I don't think anyone should care about how they got the $1 billion. The fact is they got the $1 billion, right? Like, so like they tried to, I mean, the CEO did a really good job negotiating with Adobe. And basically Dylan, who's the CEO, probably was like, hey, if this doesn't go through because of whatever regulatory issues and you waste our time for the next year, you owe us $1 billion. Sucks for Adobe. Adobe right here down 4%, but they got $1 billion out of it. And they're probably going to be a way more valuable company than $20 billion, which is what they were going to get acquired for in the public markets, especially in this environment. So kind of worked out for him as the founder right here. Apple 211, Apple getting a bid up 2%. Yeah, I agree. Adobe would have ruined it. I agree. I mean, there's a world where Adobe would have absolutely destroyed the value proposition of Figma. But that really would have helped their stock, because Adobe has been struggling the past couple of years just because, investors are like, where's the growth? And why should we still care about this name in the age of AI? Oscar, is that still down 15? Oscar's down 15.5. Little green candle right there was down 17. Now it's down 15. PayPal 75. Alpha at 127. Apple 211. Palantir 132. Robinhood 93.50. I don't see any new Robinhood upgrades yet. I've been waiting to see from the street. Let me check right now. Maybe some of them are updated, but I don't see any new price targets yet. And I'm curious to see if we do get any new raises. S&P basically flat, trying to go green. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin right here, 107. That's holding on. All the Bitcoin miners for some reason are green today, which is a little confusing. Why is Hut 8 mining up 12%? Like, let me see if I can get some news on that. That one's weird. Bitcoin miners have been kind of stuck outside of Iran for the past couple of. Okay, so they inked a 5-year energy contract in Ontario. Dude, a lot of these Bitcoin miners are realizing their facilities can be interchanged with the energy demand that's required from AI. I mean, that's essentially what Iran's been able to do and get a lot of momentum for, up 45% this month. And that could be another reason why some of the Bitcoin miners are not transitioning their business, but diversifying the parts of the business as well. CleanSpark right here up 5% at 1171 right now. Yeah, they got a 5-year contract. Double taxation removed for miners, published by Senator Loomis. Okay, that could be another reason. I mean, Hut's pumping for their energy news, but that could be a reason why all the Bitcoin miners are pumping. Senator Loomis removes double taxation for miners, for the Bitcoin miners. Okay, that actually makes more sense. I'll try to get some more data on that. Yeah, that's actually pretty damn bullish. Yeah, that's not bad, dude. That's not bad. Well, Senator Loomis also said yesterday that she's going to try to get rid of Bitcoin capital gains. I mean, if they get rid of Bitcoin or crypto capital gains in general, I think a lot of the stock market people would be a little upset that they're not doing it for stocks, only doing it for crypto, but that could flood a lot of money into crypto. Now, I don't know if they're going to actually be able to get that done, but still. Trump tweeted. Okay, what did Trump tweet? What did Donnie T, what did our commander-in-chief, who's actually our content-in-chief, say? What did he say? Let's see. Okay, this is a long one, but Intel's dumping. Where is Intel? Intel 2187, Intel's down 4%. Okay, here we go. Nobody wants to talk about growth, which will be the primary reason that the big, beautiful bill will be one of the most successful pieces of legislation ever passed. This growth has already been begun at levels never seen before. Trillions of dollars are now being invested into the USA more than ever before. Likewise, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs are filling up the coffers of the Treasury. The tariff money has already arrived and is setting new records. We are growing our way out of the sleepy Joe Biden mess in all capital letters, that he and the Democrats left us, and it is happening much faster than anyone thought possible. Our country will make a fortune this year, more than any of our competitors, but only if the big, beautiful bill is passed. As they say, Trump's been right about everything. And this is the easiest of them to predict. Republicans, don't let the radical left Democrats push you around. We've got all the cards, and we are going to use them. Last year, America was a dead nation with no hope in the future, and now it is the hottest nation in the world. Make America great again. Well, Trump is bullish. He wants this big, beautiful bill to get passed. So there you go. That's what you got from Trump. Grabby grab. All right, 512, breaking above 510. That was an important one. Breaking above 510 was not the worst thing in the world for this one. I will check resistance on this thing to 520, which is kind of that next big level. 520 has 75,000 shares for grab. 520 is 70,000 shares. Maybe we can break above that. Pouncer right here, 132. Robinhood, 95.45. Right, Robinhood, 3% up, getting its move. Let's see 96 resistance. I rolled some of my covered calls to December 140s. December 140s. I'm not taking any chances with this thing. You got S&P inclusion coming up. Sometimes you just get the hell out of the way. If it gets to 140 by December, that's a really good problem to have. But yeah, I am moving out of the way of hoodie. And the fact that it's been holding 90 so well over the past couple of days, I mean, it's not enough to say it's normalized the 90s, but it is doing a damn good job maintaining its momentum after the event. 96 resistance on hoodie is 18,000 shares. 18,000 shares on hoodie. A Novix, that's up 15%. This one's been rather flat for the week. It looks like they might have got a deal. And Novix right here up about 12%. Tessie still holding 308. NVIDIA 154. Palantir 132. SoFi 1774. HIMS is 4730. That's down about 1.4%. Roblox 103. Uber 93. Basically at all-time highs. CoreWeave flat. Coinbase also up 2.5. Nebius, which was down 9% yesterday. That one's flat, up a little, up about 0.5% right now. Oscars, that one's still getting hit. Oscar right here. It's recovering a little bit. It was down 17. Now it's down 13. Recovering a little bit. Novix did a share repurchase ahead of their earnings, likely mega deals with Meta and Samsung. Did they confirm they did a share repurchase? We know they have deals with either Meta, Samsung, or Apple. I mean, that's been rumored for a while. But the share repurchase could be helping them right here. Pinterest 35.47, Enphase 41, and then Microsoft 493. As well. Oh, now you guys are asking for me to say currently before my right now, huh? Now you guys. So yeah, consciously said right now 5 seconds ago without saying the currently. I think the currently makes it, the currently makes it current. The currently makes it hip and cool. I'm telling you, there's some potential with currently right now, bro. That sounds like a band name. That sounds like a podcast name, currently right now. Hey, everybody. You're tuning in to currently right now with Amit. I mean, there's something there, bro. There really is something there. Premium, thank you for the $10 super chat. Would love to hear your thoughts on GME. So GME, look, I'm not buying it. I don't think it's the most attractive opportunity in the market. I will say though, market cap is 10 billion, and I believe they have 7 billion in cash. I mean, the stock's trading at 70% cash. If Ryan Cohen could do anything to transition the business into something beyond video games that no one wants to buy anymore in physical locations, I think this has potential. They have the cash. But the thing that he decided to do was become a Bitcoin treasury, which I just think is stupid because the GameStop brand is so iconic. Why go down the route of Bitcoin? And it's not like they can't buy Bitcoin. That's fine. But it seems like that's the pivot. It's been 5 years. And so I just think they do not care about shareholders. They don't answer any questions on the earnings calls. They never communicate. You're just blindly trusting that Cohen has a plan. And I don't think he does, dude. I think it's been more than obvious over the past 5 years. He has not shown that he has a plan. But I love the fact that they have a lot of cash. It's just, what are they going to do with the cash? That's kind of my issue with GameStop. Pouncer 131, Robin at 95.48. Tessie still holding 308, folks. She's not really getting hit that bad. I mean, it pumped to 321, but it's not like she's going red right here. Nvidia 154, 307 to 310 on Tesla has been being held. AMD 136, Amazon 219. Grab 515. All right. 520, that's the big one. If we can get 520, that's the big one. Breaking above 520 would be very nice to see. What's the volume on this already? I mean, some of the volume is probably due to maybe that analyst report that came out yesterday. There are also, I mean, I was looking at a variety of different reports yesterday within Goodell, which is like a different version of the Bloomberg terminal. And the Gojek rumors are popping up again. The acquisition that most of us think they raised all the money to be able to acquire in Indonesia, they're popping up again. And volume already 6 million shares on Grab. So you could have the market really thinking, all right, like this acquisition stuff that we thought was going to happen is getting ready to happen. And if it does happen, I think the entire thesis changes because now they have legitimately solidified their approach in the region, which could be a very big deal. Google right here, 176. S&P slightly green, which is nice. S&P 617. And then Netflix, 1288. Netflix is down about 0.5%. I've been starting to use that Goodell terminal a lot more, bro. It's actually pretty useful for news. Like, it's actually not bad. Like, and again, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but like, look at this thing. If I go to this and I type in Grab, and then I type in N for news, boom, there's all my news. There's all my news right there. And that's just one feature of all the stuff this thing can do. And then this is how I got the research report yesterday. This is how I got, there you go. That's by the initiation of coverage. So, I've had this for months and I haven't really used it, but starting to see a little bit more value in what it looks like. And that just helped me, get more research for you guys to then talk about on the show. Circle right here is down 5%. Circle goes down. Circle's down 5%. Circle is down 5%. Grab is going to buy OnlyFans, mark my words. So it's funny you bring up OnlyFans. I looked at a chart yesterday on OnlyFans. Their revenue per employee, Palantir has like 1.3 million. Robinhood has like 1.7 million, 1.5 million. OnlyFans revenue per employee is 37 million. Because they don't have a lot of employees, but they do have a lot of people paying for the subscription to the content that the OnlyFans creators pay for. 37 million per employee. I mean, if they ever were to go public, which I don't think it's going to be possible because it's OnlyFans, that brand who, I don't think a lot of banks are going to want to take that public. But if they do, I mean, my goodness, bro. My goodness. The platform that I was using was Goodell Terminal. Goodell Terminal. Again, I'm not sponsored. I don't have a deal with them or anything. It's Skrelly's platform. You can check it out right here. I think it's like $80 a month, which is, a little expensive, but it's not like the terminal, which is $25,000 a year. And I think it's a way better version of the terminal. So I'm still getting used to it. I'm still learning how to kind of work on it. But yeah, it is helping me find a lot more research. Okay, 37 million a year, bro. That's crazy. Like, they barely have 100 employees and they're bringing I think it's 2 point something billion of revenue. It's insanity, bro. Absolutely insanity. Robinhood right here, 95.28, Palantir 131, and then Tessie still holding 308. Why is Reddit pumping? Reddit got a couple upgrades over the past 2 days. Reddit right here up 5%. I don't know what the reason is today for why it's pumping, but it did get a decent amount of upgrades right here. And that's helping it. You can do AR on Goodell for analyst ratings. Really? They have that? Hold on. Oh, okay. I have to check that out, bro. Because I've been waiting for a tool that I can just get all the price targets in one spot and easily access them. Okay, so I'm definitely going to be doing that. See, I think there are a lot more features in this that I have not explored. And so this could help me just like a lot more with my research. Salesforce right here, 267. Elf right here, 126. DoorDash, 240. Tesla, 307 again. Palantir, 131. And then Robinhood holding on to 95. Where is Tom Lee's company? BMNR, up 3%. Kind of flat, but you do have 3% right here. Isn't Reddit a lot of bots? How's that not bearish? Okay, so there are a ton of bots on Reddit. However, Apple, by the way, 213. Dude, Reddit's growing like 50% in terms of revenues. And their DAUs are growing like 30, 40%. So yes, there are bots, but there are actual real users that are watching the ads and paying for Reddit subscriptions. And look, they're growing. I've always felt their multiple is a bit aggressive. I mean, Reddit price to sales right now for a company that's not that mature is 20. It's a little aggressive. Their growth is good, but are you willing to pay that much for their growth? Very high beta. The stock was at 105 2 weeks ago. Now at 160, was at 79 a couple weeks before that. I mean, this thing moves up and moves down. So it's a great trading stock, but as an investment, I think 5 years from now, Reddit's higher than it is today. It's just, it's not the cheapest stock in the market. Meta right here, 716 as well. The other reason why Reddit got hit a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago is because most of their traffic comes from Google, and Google, is losing a little bit of search advertising share. But one of the analysts came out and said, well, Reddit's getting a lot of traffic from ChatGPT now, so it might not have to be contingent just on Google. And that's what kind of got people thinking, all right, well, even if search gets hit, not the worst thing for Reddit. X is broken for you. Is X working for other people? My X is... Oh, X is broken again. Wow, dude, this is the third time. This is the third time in like 4 weeks that it's broken. It's not working. Look at that. Nothing's working. Nothing's loading. Nothing's loading. All right, X is not working. That's probably some of their server issues. Tesla below 307. All right, so it just gave up 307, folks. 306. It's about $5 away from going red. I think it's going to hold the green, but you do have it breaking that 307. Amit, do you not care about what happens to our country with this guy in the White House, or do you just care about money? Well, I mean, I was talking about this with Steve last night. Obviously, I care about what happens to the country, but I think a lot of people try to save the world before saving themselves. And, it's, and I personally, I care a lot more about my money than I care about the country, because for me to contribute to this country in any significant way, I need to make myself an individual who can prosper because of America, so I can give back to America. So I think a lot of times, when you get a lot of the revolutionaries and the protesters want to save the oppressed and all this, it's like, dude, like you got to pay your rent first, right? You got to be selfish to be selfless, in my opinion. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's actually one of the most ethical ways to approach the world. Like to be able to give away billions of dollars, you got to make billions of dollars. And like to go on the journey to even try to make billions of dollars and like take the risks and deal with all the shit and the pain and go through hell to be able to get to that point to then eventually give back one day. That requires a unique level of risk taking and embracing an adventure that most people just aren't willing to do. And if you're able to give back because of that, you can give back in much better ways. So I don't know. Yeah, for me, I absolutely care about myself more than I care about my country, because I'm in the stage of life where I need to build myself up so that I can give back to my country one day. It's hard to give back to the country and start a nonprofit and like employ people if you're struggling to pay rent, But obviously I do care about what happens to the country, and from a political perspective, a lot of stuff also I can't change, bro. Like that's why I don't know why Elon is so stressed about this big, beautiful bill. He's not changing it, bro. As much as he cares about the country and what's going, he's not changing it. Like you're just not going to go against the MAGA movement and get them to not spend money. You've got to find other ways to do what you want to do. Tesla right here, 10 cents away from breaking 306. So when he tries to say, yeah, we're going to change the world and, disrupt the political system, it's like, dude, you're not. You're just not going to. It's too entrenched for you to do that. You saw what happened with Doge. The easiest way is to build technology products that massively accelerate growth in this economy to then eventually be able to change the economic infrastructure of our deficit spending, our debt issues, et cetera. But trying to go up against the Democrats and Republicans and completely eliminate, the way they spend, it's just hard to do. It's just very, very hard to do. Tesla breaks 306, 305. Breaks 306, 305. 305 right here, 305.70 right now on Tesla. All right, folks. So how many of you voted that it would end green? Including myself, 54% of everyone said it would end green. It is 1.7% away from going red, which again would be pretty damn incredible if it lost its entire pump. But regardless of the stock, at least the freaking delivery numbers were good. or at least better, way better than what the analysts expected, even if the year-over-year numbers sucked. Misty announced their dividend. Is it 123? Is it 123? Can anyone confirm that? Misty, do we have 123? If so, that is down from 147 last month. But if the dividend is 123, I can't check on X because X isn't working. Then looks like we've got 123. All right, not bad. So I have 500 shares. So 500 times 123. That'll be a $615 dividend. $615 dividend. All right, 123. All right, if you got Misty, 123. That's what we got. Grab right here, 510, down from that 515, a little bit of red candle. A close above 510 would be very bullish today. Tesla, 305, Palantir, 130, and then Hoodie, 94.90. Misty is monthly, correct? Misty is monthly. Yeah, dude, X is actually down. This is weird, bro. Last time this happened a couple of weeks ago, it was like not working for a couple hours. And this is like when the market's open. This is when all the news is coming out. So it's nice to have X up during this time. Apple 212. Okay, Apple rising like a phoenix from the ashes and proving to everybody that foldable phones and Siri are not to be doubted. Let's check the ETF update and see what we got going on here. Matt's up 8. I'm up 2.4. Tanner's up 5. Steve's up 1. Chris is up 1.8. Matt, Tanner, Amit, Chris, Steve. Matt, Tanner, Amit, Chris, Steve. That is the current portfolio or ETF rankings. On Steve's portfolio today, Broadcom's green, CrowdStrike's green. Dude, CrowdStrike was at 516 yesterday. This thing right back down to 493. So this one got hit yesterday. A little nasty move from 516 to 485, now back to 493. Salesforce is red, Netflix slightly red, PayPal a little green, and then Micron a little green. And then on Chris's ETF, you have Oracle, Cisco, Lilly, Novo that are green. Oracle, though, had a great week with some of the new stuff they disclosed. UNH is also a little bit of red right here, down about 2.2%. And then on my ETF, AMD's red, JP Morgan's red, Visa's red, Visa 353, Duolingo's red, Grab is up, Nebius is slightly red, and then Robinhood is also green, 94.64. Tanner, everything's green except ASML, Nubank, and ServiceNow. That's what we have across these ETFs. Reddit 160. Okay, not bad. Reddit 160. Have you looked into Upstart? Yes, a long time ago. AI-based lending. Never was a big fan of it. Have looked into it. Upstart right here up 5%. It is kind of a small cap. I mean, at 6.7 billion, definitely, not the smallest of caps, but not a mid cap or large cap. Yeah, it's been a great stock. It sucked a couple of years ago, but it's been a great stock in the past 2 years. I mean, this thing got to 11 at one point in 2022, so it's done very well. Never really loved the long-term vision or moat. I used to have a friend who worked at Upstart. He was like a senior executive, and he left Upstart, and he just didn't really love the culture, didn't love kind of how they were building the company, but the stock has done well. So don't have an investment thesis here, but stock has not done horrible. Is VG still down? Chris said VG was getting hit, down 1.4% because of the war premium that was taken off, aka if the Strait of Hormuz actually was closed, there would be a lot more demand for natural gas. That is not the case. That's why VG kind of selling off from that $19 high. Robinhood right here, 94.91. Grab 512. And then Google 176.48. Big Bear is green, 3%. Big Bear is green, 3%. Why is Intel? I don't know why Intel's down, bro. 5.4. I have no idea why Intel's down. And I can't find out. X is not. Let me see if I can use Goodell. Maybe if I type in Intel right here. Let's see. News on Intel. No, I don't see much. I don't fully see much yet. Might just be technical. We got such in the chat. VG bounced from lows yesterday, but a class action lawsuit is filed against them, so immediate reaction was to sell today. Oh, wow. They had a class action against them? I did not know about that. A lot of these companies get class actions, though, all the time. So hopefully that's not like a concern or anything. But yeah, usually when you get that an immediate reaction is a sell from the from just the algorithmic response to a class action. Verizon right here, 43.97. Where's Carnival Cruise? The cruise lines are green. 2.7 on Carnival and CLH. That is also green, up 1.7. Cruise lines are doing okay right here on the day. Oh, yeah, I see it. Yep, I see the class action. Yep, I see it right here. I see it on Goodell. There you go. There you go. Well, I guess that's the reason. Even if that's a rather elementary reason for it to get hit as bad, unless, I got to go deep into the class action lawsuit. How bad is it? But if it's not that bad, then maybe this is a buy the dip. Palantir right here, 130, Robin at 95.25. If you've been day trading Intel, it has been great for you, like down or up. I mean, if you're looking for something that's volatile but stays within like a $2 to $3 range, Intel is your stock. And I do know a lot of people that day trade this one. A lot of people on X day trade it all the time. So this is one where if you just need a vehicle to buy something, to sell it, or to go short against it, the charts are relatively predictable given it's stuck in a range, and it's been one that has been playing out. Chris says those are BS lawsuits. Palantir got it a class action before. Yeah, dude, Robinhood had class action. Like a lot of these guys get class action. That's why if it's down 5% on that, you would tend to think that's not the best reason. Tesla's 20 cents away from going below 305, folks. A round trip from 320 back down below. If it actually ends up going red right here. Okay, here's the actual news, I think. Austin just sent this. Intel's new CEO explores big shift in chip manufacturing progress. That is the headline. Intel CEO is exploring a big change to his contract manufacturing business to win major customers. If implemented, the new strategy for what Intel calls its foundry business would entail no longer marketing certain chip-making technology, which the company has long developed to external customers, the people said. Okay, so that is sort of a different go-to-market in terms of how they're selling their chip manufacturing process, which probably could be the reason why this one's actually getting hit. TSM right here is green, 1.73%. Palantir, 130.9. Robinhood still trying to get to 96, 95.67. Tesla hit 320 in the pre-markets, not overnight. It hit 320 in the pre-markets. It hit 321. And right on that delivery news, 384 versus 389 expected. And now it's getting a little bit of a downside move. Google right here, 176, and then Grab is at 511. Meta right here, 719. Reddit 162. All right, Reddit getting some love. 7% on the day. Robinhood 96. There you go, folks. All right, let me check 97 resistance on this one. 96.30. She's moving up 4%. 97. 11,000 shares. Again, not a lot. There wasn't a lot of 96. Maybe we break through. Oscar, dude, still 14% down. It's not as bad as it was before, but still, that one's getting hit. I rolled my mom's covered calls already. So I rolled her. What did I do yesterday? Let me check. So she had 95 for this Friday or this Thursday, tomorrow. Those were rolled to, what did I roll them to? August 15th, 120. I rolled them to August 15th, 120. Which I think is reasonable, bro. Like, do we see 120 by August 15th? Maybe. I mean, I think that's a good problem to have. But I don't think we're not going to get S&P inclusion until the end of September. So I think that would be the major catalyst to pump it. August tends to be a crappy month. So if Hood can even hold the 90s in August, I would be very happy. And then if we hit 120, we'll roll again and we'll deal with it. But by then, if we hit 120, the strikes for like 180 would open up. Right now, the strikes are at 140. But I think that's not the worst target in that area. Again, S&P for Hood probably in September, if it happens. The reason I think it's going to happen, though, is Tanner had this stat a couple of days ago. He said Robinhood is the second largest market cap that is eligible for S&P inclusion in the entire stock market, besides AppLovin. Like, if it's not Robinhood and AppLovin, I would be so confused, bro. I would be so confused. If it is not Robinhood and AppLovin, I don't know what the committee would be doing. Amazon right here, going green at 220. I did not lose money on that roll. So my mom, she wrote these calls when the stock was 77. So the value of the contract significantly declined because Robinhood fell after S&P inclusion didn't happen. But in the past couple of days, as theta has decayed, the value has gone up on the contract because we got closer to 95, but there was so much theta decay that rolling up and out was very easy. I think she made like $4,000 in premiums on the roll. Maybe it was like $3,000, something around that. I can check in a second, but so she made a decent amount with roll. She has 14 of those contracts, so I mean it is a decent amount of shares, but yeah, she was able to deal with those. Jose just texted me. He will be able to be on the show in about 10 minutes, so we're gonna get his thoughts on the semis. So we'll get him on in about 10 minutes, and we'll see what he says about all the semiconductor news we got, including this massive Oracle lift in cloud computing that they've been seeing. 96.90. Are we headed back to 97? Are we headed back to 97? Robinhood wants 100. Let's just be honest about it. She wants 100. She wants 100. Yeah, we'll talk about Micron as well. I know people are annoyed that that one didn't really do as well after earnings. There you go, 97. 97. 97. Now we just got to see. Let me check 98 resistance. Amit, how's your dad's Google doing? My dad does not own Google. He owned it last summer. He sold it a while ago. I think he sold it at like 150. His average was like 110. So he's been out of Google. My dad has NVIDIA, Palantir, Hood. Oh, this will give you guys a little laugh. Dude, my dad bought HIMS the other day. He called me. He's like, what do you think about HIMS? I was like, I own it, but like, you know, I don't like, I'm not buying it at these levels. He's like, okay, I bought 100 shares. I was like, do you even know what they do? It was like, yeah. I was like, what do they do, Dad? It was like hair loss. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, all right, Dad, you got it at 48. So, you know, I like that he bought it though, because he's getting more confident with just like not having to ask me about everything, you know, and not being like that scared to pull the trigger on some stuff. And so if HIMS goes down, it's a good lesson to him of being like, hey, maybe I didn't know enough about the stock. I probably shouldn't have bought it. If it goes up, it's a nice little, hey, I bought the dip on something that fell 25%. And, you know, when you buy low, that's when you should be buying. So whether it goes up or down, I think for him, just like, you know, being new to the markets, it'll be something that teaches him a lesson, whether good or bad, because I've gone through those lessons. All of you guys have. But ultimately, you have to go through it yourself, right? You can't hold someone's hand when they're experiencing the markets. 98 resistance is 48,000 shares. 48,000 shares. 48,000. Nick says your dad likes to make money, smart man. Dude, you HIMS bulls are so bullish, but then I'm reading about these lawsuits, and Roy, who's one of the biggest HIMS bulls I know, says this shit's going back to 30, and I am so freaking confused on this. Like, I just don't know if it's worth buying the dip. I really don't. I have too many people telling me these lawsuits are going to be ugly. But then you got the hyper bull saying, oh, who cares about Novo? We're moving on. And look, I like that they hired the chief product officer at, or the VP of products at Robinhood and made them the chief product officer. I really like that for the long term. I'm just saying in the short term, bro, like if there is a nasty lawsuit, that's going to be something HIMS has to navigate. I don't know. And, you know, if I can actually DCA in the 30s and really build out a real position at that point, I wouldn't hate that. But, you know, maybe that requires a little bit of just waiting right here. HIMS House is doing a great job though. I have not watched the recent podcast, but they are doing a great job, dude. That community is phenomenal. They're getting amazing guests on their podcast. They're really exploring the bear cases, the bull cases. So HIMS House is just doing an incredible job. I mean, they're building the community the right way. You know, you got a lot of stock communities that are built on hype and nothing fundamental. They are really taking their time to build it out the right way. So I respect those guys a lot, but just the question of, you know, what this means in the short term for the price. I will watch the new podcast though. A lot of people have recommended that. Did they talk to a patent attorney or something on the podcast? They talked to someone who I think kind of broke everything down. I just haven't had a chance to watch it, but I will. 97.78 on Hoodie. NVIDIA. Wow. NVIDIA trying to crack 156 again. 155.27. They had a patent lawyer on that, explained all of it. The chances are small for litigation. All right. I will watch it. I'll probably watch it over the next couple of days and see if that influences how I think about this. 155.35. Grab still holding on to 510. And then Hoodie, we did not break 98, but we were very close to breaking 98, about 10,000 shares away. Google's getting a little bit of a pump, 176. Here's the other question. Let's do this in the chat. Would you buy Google before earnings? Do you buy Google at 175 before earnings. That's another thing I'm thinking of deeply. Do we actually do it? Like, I want to say yes with all my heart, but also I'm just like, dude, what if Sundar doesn't deliver the goods? What if he doesn't deliver the goods? ASTS is flat. Rock Lab. Sir Peter Beck was on CNBC a couple days ago. Again, he said Neutron maybe 2025. Rock Lab right here at 34.73, down from 37, but still incredible. Now in the Russell 1000 as well. So Rock Lab not doing bad. And then SoFi 1786 trying to make its way back to 18. Learned my lesson. I stay away from earnings. That's fair. The reason I'm thinking about it is because I feel like if there's any time for Google to pump, it's now, right? Like like these are the earnings that are going to tell the street, all right, it's time. And if they fail to like deliver a good earnings or like deliver a narrative shift on earnings, I mean, it's not the end for them or anything. It's just, are they really going back to 150? You know, is the sentiment that bad? Like, are the earnings going to be that ugly? Which I don't think the earnings are going to be ugly. Tesla back to 310. I think the search revenue growth is going to be ugly, but I think Sundar is going to hedge and try to explain all the different ways they're changing. Now, they're not going to have the SpaceX EPS boost this time, so the headline number might not be amazing. But still, dude, like this, like in a market that's expensive, Google's cheap. And the question here is it so cheap because there's this glaringly obvious reason that 10 years from now everyone's going to look back at it and be like, oh, thank goodness I didn't buy Google? Or is it so cheap because everyone's just being stupid, and 10 years from now you're going to look back and be like, how could I not buy Google? And I don't know. I don't know yet what the answer is to that question. All right, Hoodie is trying 98. If we break 98 is 52,000 shares actually. There is some resistance at 98. So not as easy. 99 though has 26,000 shares. 99 is 26,000 shares. Earnings is probably mid-July. Mid-July. We'll get the actual date soon. Robinhood earnings is July 30th. They put that out. Robinhood is July 30th. They're not going to get a SpaceX EPS boost because SpaceX's valuation is not going to like grow in the next 30 days. I mean, the SpaceX raised at $350 billion. Google had, I think they have like I might be wrong about this, like an 8% stake. I'm probably wrong about the amount they own, but they own a decent chunk of it. And because of that valuation raise on paper, Google was able to say, hey, our stake is worth XYZ more. And they're not going to be able to do that again. Oh, 98. There she goes. 98. All right, let's get back to 99. Let's get this over with. Let's get into the 99s and then let's fight for 100 because that's going to be the real fight. Let's see if she has it in her today. Let's see triple digits, bro. 100 has 86,000 shares. 100 has 86,000 shares. Big Bear AI also doing great today. Again, we talked about the call options yesterday. The 750 strike has been bid up a lot. That is what traders are targeting. 724 right there in Big Bear AI, up about 8.8%. Robin at 98.37. Okay, she's making her move. 99 is 26,000 shares. That's not a ton if the volume comes in. Reddit's also moving really nicely today. CNC took away their guidance. That's why they're down 40%. That's also hurting Oscar. But that's, yeah, the lack of their guidance right here. That's why Oscar's taking a hit. And that's why their stock's also taking a hit. 98.38. Dude, if we crack 99, which we did yesterday for like 10 seconds. But if we crack 99, this will be good. Also, yes, this news, I didn't talk about it on Monday, but OpenAI, remember that headline on Friday after hours we saw that Google's TPUs are going to be used in OpenAI? OpenAI came out and they said, yeah, we're not using Google. That was part of the reason it fell from 181 to 175 on Monday. So, you know, that is one thing that's not really bearish, but it's one of those things that was really nice to see. That's not really happening for OpenAI and Google. SoFi 1793. Let me check resistance on SoFi. Again, we hit SoFi 18 2 days ago, and it was holding it. SoFi 18 is 24,000 shares. So also not a ton for SoFi. All right, folks, come on, 50 cents away. Let's see. Let's see if there's a shot. Let's see if there's a shot. Someone said I hit all-time highs in my portfolio. Congratulations. Absolutely incredible. I know it's been a big week for a lot of us. It's been one of those weeks. Yeah, shout out to Christopher, all-time high in my accounts. It's been a big one, bro. It's been a very, very big week for a lot of people. We got to see. We got to see if we can crack that 100. And we're being greedy here, asking for 100. We're being really greedy. But still, like, it's just like it's been an incredible week for them, and the street is really respecting what they're doing with crypto. I mean, I've read a lot of articles over the past 24 hours on different blogs and crypto people analyzing what Robinhood's done, and unequivocally, it's like, holy crap, Robinhood's really not messing around, you know. And there were some people that were a bit more skeptical about the tokenization platform and all this stuff, and like, yeah, it's a new technology. I'm sure there's a lot of questions there, but the majority of crypto people were like, we cannot ignore Robinhood. They're not messing around. They really want to be one of the global crypto players in this market right now. Nvidia 155, SoFi 1789, Grab still holding 510, Google 176, Nubank 1356, Cisco right here 68, Home Depot 370, and Reddit 161. That's about 5.8% as well. Robinhood 98.25. All right, folks, let's bring on someone to the show that is one of the best analysts in the stock market when it comes to semiconductors. He's backstage right now. I will have to say, Jose, if we do see 99 or 100 on Hoodie, no matter what you're saying, I'm going to have to stop you for just a little bit to ring the bell. But regardless, you might be here to celebrate it with us. And granted, whenever Jose talks, every stock goes up. So maybe it's a little bit of good luck for us. Jose, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? And no worries, for sure. That'll be a nice moment there for, I know, you and your community. So good morning, and thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you for being on. There's a lot of stuff to dive into, a lot of stocks to talk about in the semiconductor space. This one, though, we haven't talked since NVIDIA was around 140. It's up $15 since then. It's your biggest position. AMD, we talked when it was around 125. That hit 146. Now it's at 140, 135-ish. I mean, what has been your reaction of the past couple of weeks on seeing both AMD and NVIDIA really have one of those runs that a lot of the dip buyers have been waiting for, ultimately manifest itself over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a lot of, you're continuing to get great news all around the board about the AI space. I mean, I know we're going to talk about it, but I feel like every week we get that validation that AI is here, and it's really that technology. It's it. AI is the next big thing, and it's here right now. I mean, prime example, and I know we're going to talk about it in a bit. Oracle just announced that for fiscal year of 2028, they announced one customer is going to be about a $30 billion annual revenue. That is insane. For one customer to be charging some form of $30 billion on AI compute, you have to be making a lot of money or a lot of revenue off that to be paying that off. So it's like you're seeing, and again, we're going to talk about this. Meta, they mentioned that AI is getting so close that they want to build this super team, and Mark doesn't care how much it costs, right? It's hundreds of millions on salary for OpenAI engineers, for Anthropic engineers. You have, what else do we have? We have Apple finally waking up a little bit, saying that, we can't sleep anymore. We have to, if Siri isn't working, we have to buy somebody. So in just the last 2 weeks, I don't know what these big tech CEOs are drinking, but it's a lot of AI water, and the AI space is here pretty strongly. And luckily, I mean, earnings has showcased that the thesis is still intact. Just one final point. I mean, AMD and Marvell both had some form of AI events this past month on June, and both continue to solidify that the AI total addressable market is expected to grow at 60% compounded annual growth rate till 2028. The inference space is even larger at 80% compounded annual growth rate, if I remember my numbers correctly. So it's crazy to think about it, but AI is really that technology. And I don't know, I don't think it's that crazy, but I think it just showcases this nice bullish sentiment happening in this AI space right now.
I think it is pretty damn exciting. Folks, we did hit 99, 99.04. So the next challenge is 100. That 99 resistance is gone. So hopefully we will see 100 here today. Okay, Jose. So let's talk about let's get deeper into, I guess, Oracle. I mean, 30 billion off one customer for cloud computing. Can you kind of break down from Oracle's business perspective what this means for AI and what this means for an NVIDIA, a Google, a Microsoft as a hyperscaler? Like, why is this deal so important? And why is the street giving them such a big premium because of it?
I mean, first is it's one customer, $30 billion. And this company has RPO right now of about 130 billion for the next few years. So this one customer, in theory, is about a quarter of just their total RPO that they have with a lot of customers. So it first solidifies the need of AI compute. AI compute is extremely heavy, right? It's extremely needed. So that can just indicate that if there's one customer spending this type of money, it's not going to be unheard of that other players might be spending around that same type of level. And if you need that much, if you're projecting that much revenue in AI infrastructure, you're going to need to build that AI infrastructure. So at the end of the day, it's extremely bullish for your NVIDIA because Oracle is going to need to build that AI data center, these massive AI data centers of the gigawatts capacity. So you're going to need more AI chips. The great thing for Oracle, right, is they do have great partnership with AMD as well. So AMD, they're one of their biggest customers of AMD. So AMD is actually pretty bullish on this sentiment as well right now. So I think Oracle is just solidifying. If you're expecting that type of revenue on a 1-year basis, you're going to need a lot of AI compute, and a lot of AI compute trickles down to the semiconductor players.
Yeah, 30 billion from one customer to me was like the part where I was like, okay, this is like, because that one customer, if they can afford to pay 30 billion in a year,
yeah,
I think they can make 30 billion. Is SoFi at 18? SoFi, did we touch 18? SoFi just, yeah, there you go, 1801. SoFi got to 18. Do you think the customer is TikTok?
I don't think so. I think it's actually one of the Stargate projects, which is one of the OpenAI. I don't think TikTok will be able to do 30 billion a year. I mean, they could, but in terms of just paying for infrastructure, that's crazy. So you're going to need some form of crazy inference. I do believe it's somebody in the large language model that is going to be building these AI factories because they see the need of this AI infrastructure just grow dramatically. So I think it's Stargate. I don't know if it's Stargate USA or Stargate UAE. So that's the only. I'm leaning more to Stargate UAE because of the time frame. I know Stargate USA should be here a lot earlier, unless they're kind of just stepping it up. And they mentioned that this customer might be 30 billion in fiscal year of 2028, but could potentially be a little bit lower throughout the year. So it's going to be Stargate, in my opinion.
Okay, let's talk about AMD. A lot of stuff has happened, new products, announcements, all that stuff. We got Robinhood 99 right here, 99.05. Why has AMD gotten as much love over the past couple of weeks?
I mean, their last AI event, they really showcased that while they're not the next NVIDIA just yet, they are producing some competitive products. I mean, they just announced the MI355, which is somewhat comparable to the B200. They still have a little bit of weakness. For example, you can't build, and I'm here watching the chart with you to make sure I can.
We're trying to talk.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Jose, why don't we just like give it 2 minutes, and I don't want to.
No worries. Yeah.
Let's just chill. You're just a guest watching us. This happened to this dude. We're trying to have a segment, but like, goodness gracious, bro. By the way,
I wasn't watching you. I was myself watching the charts too. So I was like, I wasn't even focused on what I was saying.
All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Jose is just not even a contributor anymore. He's just here to help.
I'm just fanning with the community right now.
He's just here part of the community right now. By the way, I was gonna interrupt you anyway because Trump just said they got a trade deal with Vietnam. Trump just now tweeted, "I just made a trade deal with Vietnam. Details to follow." So that's it.
I do believe a lot of AI server players are and semiconductor solutions do come out from that part of the world as well, from Vietnam.
Right. Trump just said, "I just made a trade deal with Vietnam. Details to follow. Deal with Vietnam is secured." Okay, so Trump just said we got a deal. That's also bullish for Hood, bullish for the broader market. $100 resistance. Let's see. Jose, do you use Robinhood at all or no?
No, I used to.
And it was ultimately just wasn't.
It was no, I don't know. I think at the moment, most of my money was tied up to like a 401k, and it was through Fidelity.
Gotcha.
So then I ended up moving to that platform. But Robinhood was the thing that got me investing. It really was.
Oh, really?
When I started, I mean, obviously when you start off investing, you're only investing like $100 here and there, and fees used to be a bit they used to suck, man. $100, you need to take $10 off of it. It's like, what the heck? You're already 10% down, and then
let's say it, bro. The fees used to be a bitch, bro.
Exactly, yo. So starting off, it was the worst thing. So much love for that. It completely changed that whole investing game, where it allowed someone who was, if not, I had to put $1,000, $2,000 for every time I buy it, and I was just starting off. I didn't have that kind of money back then.
Oh, agreed, 100%. Yeah, and that's why Hood needs to tailor to the 401ks, the custodial accounts, all that stuff, because a lot of that money, could be incentivized to come over. 99.35, folks. $100 has 43,000 shares. 43,000 shares before we see triple digits on a beloved hoodie.
That is amazing, man.
It's kind of
I don't own it, but I love seeing the excitement of you and like kind of the community. It's like it's always pretty happy. But maybe I should go back to talking about semis. It was kind of creating some bullish sentiment. I was talking.
AMD. Why is AMD getting so much love?
So I mean, they just released the MI 355, which is doing really well. They had a lot of great players kind of discussing it. You had OpenAI come in, you had Oracle come in, you had maybe not the CEOs, but XAI came in as well. And you had them talking about just kind of the innovation push of the MI 355. So you're getting now 7 out of the 10 biggest AI companies are using this company, are using AMD. And more importantly, the next chip for the next year, the MI 400, is finally going to be able to scale to this rack solution, which is something that NVIDIA has dominated. So, yeah, I think I know, Duff. I'm seeing that too.
Sometimes these segments, they happen and the stock moves, and this is like show business, right? Something's happening, and we got to, it is what it is.
So NVIDIA here with AMD here with the MI 400 is becoming somewhat competitive to NVIDIA for the first time. So obviously it's going to be pretty hard for AMD to do something at this scale. Doing something the first time, you always do come with the risk behind it. But regardless, having the opportunity to finally compete, you are getting fine. You're getting. All
right, here's what we're gonna do. Jose, you're definitely coming on tomorrow because like we will do an actual segment. I'm sorry, but we'll do an actual segment tomorrow. I didn't know Hoodie would be.
This is no worries, man. I'm enjoying it. But yeah,
yeah.
If you want me, I don't mind just sitting and staring.
I think, to be honest, dude, even the audience, everyone's just staring at this. Here's what we're gonna do. But Jose's Twitter right here in the chat. Jose will be on tomorrow. We'll actually get to focus and talk with him because like no one cares, right? It's just hard when something's happening like this right here. Also, what the chip happened, I'll put that right here in the chat. Jose's newsletter. But he will be on tomorrow, and
and for those that are curious, I did do kind of a thing today on kind of the big beautiful bill focused on the semiconductor space and the AI space. So that's definitely in today's newsletter. And again, best of luck to all the hoodies there.
See, the problem is if you leave and this thing falls, you don't understand. If you leave and this thing falls because you stop talking about AMD and we don't get to the 100. They were gonna cut my head off. That's what's gonna happen. But at the same time, no one cares about you talking.
That's fine. You know what? I don't mind talking, even if it helps build my own bullish thesis. So if it helps you guys by just creating this false momentum and look, it's going right now. It's happening.
Oh my god.
Oh man, this is crazy,
dude. I just want to.
I'm not saying I have magic powers, but
no,
we're seeing it live here.
You have to, whether you have powers or not, if you leave and this stock does not hit 100, everyone will blame me and be upset. So you kind of can't leave. But this is the beauty of retail investing, right? I mean, you've experienced this with NVIDIA, AMD, and your community on your channel, right? Like being able to witness this type of a run, and NVIDIA is 10x for you in the past year and a half. I mean, it's pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, and it's exciting. I mean, you get to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of friends throughout the way. So it's definitely the journey, and then it's also definitely seeing your wallet getting bigger and bigger. Both play really nice.
Yeah, dude. I would imagine the wife has to give you a little bit of credit for some of these decisions because it's been working out. Bunch of superstitious degens. That's what it is right here. All right, here we go, folks. This is the final run. 20 cents. Let's see if it can happen. Let's see. Jose actually has a kid. Okay. He has like life responsibilities, so we can't keep him here forever.
That's what, the mornings I have a babysitter. It's okay. I can stay here and enjoy this.
Okay, cool. As long as you're cool to stay, then that's
yeah.
Like, 100 still has 43,000 shares. 49,000 now. 49,000. Jose, can you just buy those 49,000 shares? Can you help us out? Yeah, you can sell like 2% of your Nvidia and help us out here.
And still,
it's not too bad. It's not
that'd
too
be
bad.
crazy. It's so funny. One of my my parents' neighbors, he is a huge Hood and Palantir bull, and he's like, "Yo, Jose, I saw you on the Mitch channel one day." I was like, what the heck? I didn't know you know him.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
Babysitter gonna want.
Yeah, they're gonna want to raise. Wait, who is this? Your friend's neighbor? You said?
My parents' neighbor. He's around our age though. But
That's
yeah,
so
he's
funny.
a big Palantir, big Hood guy. He might be watching. Shout out Jimmy.
Oh, if he's in the chat, let us know. I had one of my neighbors the other day also reach out to my mom because he knew his my mom's friends was his wife, and it's just so cool. It's a whole community that comes together.
Yeah.
All right, folks, 10 cents. This is the moment. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Robinhood, $100, triple digits. From $7 in December 2023 to $100 in July of 2025. Jose, thanks for being here and celebrating this with us. Congrats to everybody. $100 on Robinhood.
All right, man. I did my job. I helped you guys get to 100. I'm gonna head out. I'll see you tomorrow, man. Feel free to send me the time, and we can definitely talk some semiconductors. But today is definitely gonna be a nice Hood day for you. So best of luck and peace out, man.
I appreciate Jose. We'll see you on tomorrow. We'll see you on later. Folks, 100. We're here. We are here. We got to go on this roller coaster twice in 2.5 years. Once with our beloved Palantir, and second with Robinhood. And a lot of people that weren't part of that original Palantir, you got to experience this with Robinhood. A lot of you guys got to experience both together. I mean, this is just, it's remarkable. And they're not even in the S&P yet. They're not in the S&P. Not even in the S&P. Imagine these fun, but I mean, like, I don't know how the S&P looks at this and says, hey, we can't take this seriously. But eventually we know it's happening. And if it's not this year, it'll be beginning of next year. And when it does happen, and these fund buyers have to buy tens of millions of shares at 100, that retail doesn't even want to sell, quite frankly, 100.40. Are we going for 101? Then this story can get very excited. 101 is 5,000 shares. 5,000 shares. 5,000 shares of resistance. Dude, we got to go on this journey twice. We really got to do this twice. In 2.5 years, from 2022 to now, we got to do this twice. I mean, this is just, again, dude, I don't know if we're going to get to go on this journey again. It's not, I don't even want to be like the doomer here, or the pessimist, but like these journeys they're rare. It's very rare to see a stock go from 7 to 100 and do it with a whole community. It's really freaking rare, bro. It's not easy to, and not for a meme stock, not for some random stock that gets pumped and dumped, but for like a legitimate company that, quite frankly, could one day be, one of the leading financial institutions of the world, Palantir, one of the most important software companies in the world, to find that type of a stock and for it to financially perform, and then for it to, the byproduct of that financial performance is to build this community that's analyzing this company along the way. It's just very, very rare. I am absolutely beyond grateful for having witnessed it twice. And we're seeing it happen in front of us right here. 100.5. And the funny thing is, Palantir and Hood are both just getting started. They really are both just getting started. And it is pretty amazing to see this play out. Alex, thank you for the 99 super chat. Appreciate that. Robinhood 100. Congratulations to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. I'm beneficial. This guy's been following this journey with me and Hood for the past 2.5 years now. Triple digits. Thank you for the super chat. Amazing. Andy, thanks for the 15. Imagine if 100 becomes the new support. I mean, The momentum is there. The excitement is there. The institutional interest is there. The retail interest is there. And the growth is there. So could 100 become support? I mean, it's possible. Obviously, it's got to catch a bid. And, this could obviously take a pullback. Anything could happen. You could have some macro events. But the fact that it's seeing this momentum within 2 days after their announcements just means that the street is ready. They are ready to embrace this. Triple digits on Robinhood. 101 is 5,000 shares of resistance. So there is obviously a world in which this cracks 101. Jody, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate it as well. One hundo. Big Bear AI also up 15%. Great day for Big Bear AI. Nvidia 156. That's up 2%. Tesla back to 13.50. Pounds right here 131. Grab holding on to 516. I found out why Grab's up, by the way. Grab is increasing the prices of their motorbike ride-hailing fees in Indonesia. So that's going to be a nice boost to mobility GMV and revenue GMV, or mobility GMV and revenue together. And so that right there is why Grab is getting this 4% move, because they're increasing some of their prices. And the fact that they feel they can increase their prices means they're thinking they have a little bit more pricing power in one of the most competitive parts of the region, which is Indonesia, which is them kind of, in my opinion, signaling, hey, we don't care about GoTo, which is our biggest competitor in the region. They're not going to be able to burn as much money as us. They don't have the pricing power as us. We can raise prices. And so that's why that stock right here is up about 4%. Robinhood just below 100. So 99.78. We'll see if we can get right back up to 199.9. Very volatile right here. Lots of volume coming through on Robinhood. Volume right now, 41 million. Their average volume is 45 million. So they did entire day's volume in a couple hours right here. But the volume is indeed coming in. Oh, shout out to Jose. This guy, Jose, I'm sorry that during our segment this happened, but I'm also really happy that during our segment this happened because, people love you and you got to witness the moment with all of us. And quite frankly, people probably think you're the reason. If you had left and we got blue balled at 99.9, I wouldn't hear the end of it today. So Jose, thanks for being here. Again, Jose's Twitter. If you guys are not following him, great account on Twitter. There's his Twitter right there in the chat. And his newsletter as well, What the Chip Happened. Incredible newsletter. Get updates about it every single week in your email. I read the newsletter. And, if you want to learn more about the semis, it is just, again, whether it's his YouTube channel or his newsletter or his Twitter, he is the person I look to when it comes to regurgitating things that make me sound smart about semiconductors on the stream. It's probably because I get it from Jose. So definitely make sure to subscribe to that. 99.83 on Robinhood. We'll see if we can make 100 again. But it is very, very nice to see us touching 100. Dude, this is just, oh man, this is pretty cool, dude. This is pretty cool. Even if we don't get the $100 close, the fact that we broke through it, and usually this happens, right? We've seen this with Palantir many times. We break through a big level of resistance, and then it chills out a little bit. You get a lot of sell orders. You get more people taking some profits right here. But because the volume is so strong and there's no more resistance, you get people that buy back in, and then boom, you kind of get above those levels. A lot of algos are going crazy right now. So I think we'll see 100 again. Don't know if we close above it, but the fact that we broke through just means it's not scary anymore. Whenever a stock breaks through a certain level, that's why these ranges matter so much. Like if we can break above 530 on Grab, very bullish because it means the street is normalizing. Hey, we can pay 530 for Grab. Then breaking above 550, very important. Then obviously breaking above 6, that would be the big one. We the street's normalizing. It's okay to pay above 6 for Grab. Palantir, street is normalized over the past 3 months. It is okay to pay triple digits on Palantir. And it seems like that could start happening for Robinhood as well. Bitcoin 108. That's also probably helping Hoodie on the day. Bitcoin right there, 108, up about 1.76%. Robinhood 99.45 right now. So there you go. There you go. Amit, why did I just get a commercial in the stream? Oh, that's not me. That's Google being greedy. I don't have ads played during the live stream. I literally for like the past, 3 years of being live, no one has ever complained about an ad playing in the live stream. So that's Google. That's kind of bearish, bro. I don't have ads turned on in the middle of the live stream for moments like this. So if Google's putting some ads, maybe they need to get those earnings up. But that's not because of me. It's probably because of Googs. Because when you have moments like this, you can't be interrupted. When you're seeing this thing crack above 100, you cannot be interrupted. Shout out to Flossie. Flossie just tweeted at me. Their name's not actually Flossy, but that's their like Twitter name. They just texted me, "Love you, bro. Love you back. Thank you so much for being on this journey." There you go. They were with us actually at the gold event, and we got to experience that gold event together. There it is. There's a screenshot. 100.19. Just to show you their position, they're a little heavy in hood to say the least. Let me pull up their position. There you go. This is up a lot. So they have 26,000 shares. They're up 2 million on Monday. $9 times 26,000. That's what? 9 times 26,000. That's another 234,000 based on hitting 100 today. So shout out to Flossie. Just this incredible community of so many people, bro. With Pouncer, there were so many different people that provided due diligence and resources to try to understand what we were doing as retail investors, trying to figure out if we could outbeat the street when it came to Pouncer. And with Robinhood, the same thing. Same exact thing. Like a different group of people that saw a different type of thesis came together, and through group chats, through Twitter, through YouTube, just all came together to put our due diligence in place and figure out if we were going to be right about this. Oh, there they are in the super. There they are. Flossie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $20. Appreciate it. And congratulations on the gains. I mean, it also shows that the beauty of solidification, right? Like part of the reason we as retail investors pick individual stocks is because, if you get 20,000 shares in a stock and your average is 15 and the stock goes to 100, I mean, that's life-changing wealth. The S&P 500 is just not going to do that for you. Now, the S&P 500 is way less risky than buying 26,000 shares of one stock. But if you pick the right stock, it's life-changing. It's just absolutely life-changing. And so it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Kindly, thank you for the kind super chat. Congrats to all. Appreciate you kindly. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dense, thank you for the 20 super chat as well. Another one for Amit because you brought two of the most hated stocks from 8 to 100. Okay, I definitely did not bring them from 8 to 100. This entire community, and more importantly, the execution from Vlad and Karp brought these from 8 to 100. But I am just very blessed to be someone who is seen as a messenger for these two stocks. I mean, think about that, bro. I did not build Robinhood. I did not build Pouncer. I did not build those companies. I don't work for those companies, contrary to what people think. I've never got paid a single dime from those companies. But, just the power of social media, and I think, quite frankly, the energy that this community has given me, and all of that together has helped us witness this happen in real time. And they're not memes. This is not GameStop. It's not AMC. There's not some random stock that magically over 2 years 10x'd, because it's not like they didn't grow their EPS by 300%, right? Like, it's not like that happened. Like, no, it's like, this is real shit that's happening in front of us. You needed to be a little creative to understand Robinhood and Palantir were the winners in their niches. But that creativity matched with the growth is what led us to get to these levels. Okay, Vietnam trade deal. Do we have some details? Let's see. Batty, thank you for the $100 super chat. Congrats, Hoodie fam. See y'all in Miami. Batty, you said 2 days ago, you sent another $100 super chat on Monday saying this is for Robinhood to get to 100. There you go. We got it today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. And we got to 100 here today. All right, Trump, some details. Here you go. There's a long tweet. Here you go. Long tweet. Here you go. Let me read the super chat real quick before I get into it. TH only, thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you, Amit, for everything. You changed my mindset on investing, got me to Pouncer, Hood, and Grab. Pouncer and Hood, they've worked out. I don't know if Grab's going to work out. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I'm confident in the thesis. They have to execute, but we're all on that journey together. And hopefully that journey can be even 1/10 of what we got from Robinhood and Hood. So thank you for being here, and thank you for the super chat as well. And thank you for being part of the community. All right, here we go. Trump on Vietnam. It is my great honor to announce that I've just made a trade deal with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam after speaking to the Prime Minister, the highly respected General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. It will be a great deal of cooperation between our two countries. The terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff on any and all goods sent into our territory and a 40% tariff on any transshipping. Okay? So Vietnam's paying 20% across the board. Where's the S&P? And 40% on transshipping. S&P is green. In return, Vietnam will do something that they have never done before. Give the United States of America total access to their markets for trade. In other words, they will open their market to the United States, meaning that we will be able to sell our product into Vietnam at zero tariff. It is my opinion that the SUV, or as it's sometimes referred to as the large engine vehicle, which does so well in the United States, will be a wonderful addition to the various product lines within Vietnam. Dealing with General Secretary To Lam, which I did personally, was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so Vietnam's paying 20% on all goods, 40% on trans-shipping, and they're opening up their entire markets. What are we giving them? What are we giving them? Hold on. The terms are that Vietnam will pay the U.S. 20% and a 40% tariff on any trans-shipping goods. And he says in return, Vietnam will open up their markets, but that's not in return. That's just them doing another additional thing. Okay, so you guys are saying U.S. pays the tariff, but that's not what Trump said. Trump said the terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff. Like, it makes more sense to say the U.S. will pay a 20% tariff. Like, verbatim, he said the terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff. If the U.S. pays the tariff, why is he saying the terms are that Vietnam will pay the U.S. a 20% tariff? Did he, miswrite that? It makes more sense that we pay the tariffs, right? Is that me misinterpreting? In Trump's mind, he is lowering the tariffs by 20%. Maybe. Okay, so I think it makes more sense to say we're paying a 20% tariff and Vietnam's opening up their markets. But the way he said it makes it seem like they're paying that. Or maybe he actually meant that. I don't know. That is a little weird. But okay, regardless, Robinhood back to 100. So those are the deals. I imagine we'll get more details on that soon. It's about lowering the tariff. Okay, so regardless, then essentially it's we lower the tariffs for them. They open their markets to us, which is a win-win. And the markets, S&P, not really hating that. S&P 619, that's green. All-time highs on the S&P. All-time highs on the S&P. Vietnam pays the tariff, just not higher than 20%. Okay, that makes more sense. The way he worded it was weird, bro. The way he worded it was weird. All right, cool. So, cool. So that's the second trade deal that we got after the UK, right? So 2 trade deals so far. Robinhood back to 100. Markets seem to like it. Tesla's up, Nvidia's up, AMD's up, Google's up, Grab is up, Reddit's up, Amazon's up, Meta's up. Amazon basically flat right here. The Qs are probably green. Qs are green up 0.5%. Qs all-time high on the Qs, or very close to all-time highs at 552. It's at 550. S&P is at all-time highs right now, 619.2. I guess it seems like this is relatively good. We got to deal with Vietnam. It seems like, all right, cool. Yeah, they don't have the money to buy USA products, so no use if tariffs are 0% on their side. Exactly, 100%. 100%, that makes sense. Big Bear AI, this one is getting some love right here. 779, that's up 17% on the day. So if you've been in this one, it is doing very well. And then Oscar, which has had a little bit of a rough day, that one's still down 14%. Still down 14%. Tesla right here, 314, Palantir 131, Hoodie 99.84. Vietnam creates Vietnam. There's a lot of stuff that happens through the semiconductor supply chain in Vietnam. That's what Jose was talking about, but also Nike. A lot of shoes. Where is Nike right now? Let's see. A lot of shoes are made in Vietnam. Nike up 2%. High of day on Nike. High of day. Okay, so Nike likes this. So this is not being interpreted as something that's going to be a strain on Vietnam's economy, which theoretically could be a strain on Nike. Street would be selling it off right here. Seems like the street's interpreting it as relatively bullish across the board. Vietnam is 120 billion surplus. They need the USA much more. Yeah, I mean, we are a massive, massive buyer for the products they create, which makes sense. So the biggest thing that Trump's talking about is an SUV. It is my opinion that the SUV, or it is sometimes referred to as large engine vehicle, which does so well in the United States, will be a wonderful addition to the various product lines within Vietnam. All right, so it looks like based on his conversations with the General Secretary, Vietnam is kind of implicitly, saying we're going to buy a lot more vehicles from the United States. They have the money to do so given their surplus, and that could be relatively bullish for the auto market in the U.S. as well. NVIDIA 157. NVIDIA 157. Now, do people buy SUVs in Vietnam? Let's ask Gemini. Let's ask Google. Yeah, SUVs are quite popular in Vietnam. Sales of SUVs have been increasing, with customers showing a strong preference for their versatility, spaciousness, and perceived safety features. Okay, that's why Trump mentioned it in the tweet. That's why Trump mentioned it in the tweet. So it seems like SUVs are one of the products that actually can sell in Vietnam. Vietnam has VinFast, much better than GM. Okay. Looks like that's rather bullish in terms of this trade deal that is now confirmed. 157 on NVIDIA, S&P high of day, and then Robinhood. We did touch 100 again. I think we'll probably get back there, up 8% of the day, 99.75 right here on Robinhood. D4TA, thank you for the 20 super chat. New investor, wouldn't have paid attention to Hood without you, up 40% year to date, and I might have a chance to buy a house in Ontario this year because of you. That is absolutely incredible. Congratulations. Congrats on the 40%. Yeah, it means a lot. And thank you for being part of the community and, you know, being able to take these profits and then use them to like actually solidify your life, like buying a house, buying a car, going on that vacation. I mean, this is what the point of investing is, right? Allocate capital, trust in Vlad and Karp. Let them take you to the promised land. You get to, you know, go about your life and just hope that your disposable income can compound in a hyper sonic way, which is what we've seen from 7 to 100. Even if you bought it at 40, if you bought it at 50, you're up a double, like in a couple months, it's a couple weeks, quite frankly. Like it's one of those things where it's not easy to find these names, and just trusting in them, you know, it really can change your life. Last time Robinhood was 50, it was right after earnings, right? Last time we saw 50, yeah, May 19th, bro. May 15th. So about a month and a half ago, a double in a month and a half. It's just incredible, bro. It's just incredible. It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. All the semis are ripping on this. All right, so I guess the Vietnam thing was bullish for semis. AMD's up, Nvidia's up. Micron is up 1%. Lam Research is up. Dell, Broadcom, ASML, SMCI, TSM, Qualcomm, and Marvell. All of those getting some love. Marvell right here up about 3.2%. Qualcomm up 0.76. By the way, Robinhood is a granny shot in Tom Lee's ETF. Robinhood is the number one position now based on the weighting in Tom Lee's ETF. So you did have granny shot. I mean, he got into it at a good time a month ago, and it's done very well. I think he got in around that 45 to 50 range, and so very well for Tom Lee. Not bad, dude. Not bad. Not freaking bad. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so JNPR, I saw this. They got kicked out of the S&P today, right? If I'm not wrong, JNPR, Juniper or something. If I'm not wrong on that, there was a company that got kicked out of the S&P. Now, Robinhood's not going to get added today, but it does mean that there are spots that are open, which is important because, like, last time the committee said, hey, there's no spots that are open, which was a bit ridiculous. But it does look like by September, a few companies will leave, and it opens it up for Robinhood. It opens it up for Robinhood, AppLovin, and all these companies to have a chance to get a shot into the broader market. Yeah, JNPR, that's the ticker. That looks like they got kicked out of it today. Amazing, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Vietnam has Chinese, Japanese, Korean manufacturing plants as well. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of those things that's important to also think about when it comes to their internal manufacturing. Back to 100 on hoodie. Back to 100 on hoodie. Dude, I just wanted to stay at 100 so I could stare at this. Like, this is one of those things, bro. This is one of those things. This is one where it just requires a little bit of staring. A little bit of staring. It's just, this is like when Pounter hit 20 for the first time. I know this is different, but it took so long for Pounter to get to 20. And he just sat back and he looked at it. It's just really cool to see triple digits, bro. Really, really freaking cool to see it. The S&P committee has to load up on Robinhood first before adding it to the index. That's facts, bro. That's facts. Look, the fact that a company got kicked out today, or that is now uneligible to be part of the S&P, and the fact that we're likely going to see other companies at the end of the year, you know, that are really not. I mean, maybe they didn't want to kick out some companies mid-year to see if they have a shot to outperform. But if some of those companies continue to just suck towards the end of the year, they're going to have to do a rebalance. I mean, they don't literally have to, but it would be very weird if they didn't. Again, the last time they didn't rebalance was the first time in 3 years. So for them to do that 2 times in a row, hard to imagine. which means Robinhood and AppLovin are on the list. And right now, Robinhood is executing at a very high level. AppLovin's done great, but it's just hard to see the committee not appreciated here. Shout out to Farzad. I'm just here to see Amit's face while Hood skyrockets. Farzad had a quote tweet the other day when I posted about Robinhood. He was like, find a girl to talk to you the way that Amit talks to Robinhood. And it's true. You know, you find a girl that can talk to you the way I talk to Hoodie. I think you'll have a very blessed life. And hopefully she'll make you a lot of money, bro. 8% on the day. 99.90. 99.90 on Mr. Robinhood. I think we'll get back to 100. It's just incredible to see. There you go. Back to 100. Back to 100. Of course, Mr. Chad shows up to put in the roast, because why not? Amit needs to find a girl. Dude, why do I need a girl when I have Palantir and Robinhood? Why do I have a girl when I have Palantir and Robinhood, bro? Like, a girl will never make me as happy as Palantir and Robinhood. I'm just sorry. Like, I mean, like, dude, like, it's different, bro. It's just different. It's just different. That's like two girls. Yeah, it's like two girls. I'm not into monogamy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit more into the exploring of, and so, you know, I want multiple partners. I get to have two of them, Robinhood and Palantir at the same time. I mean, not the worst in the world. Shout out to Josh. All he needs is Temu Matthew. Yo, Josh, shout out to you. For those that were on the market close last week, Josh was on, and he laid out his Robinhood piece as well. He's been in the stock with us, I think, since 15. He was on one of the first Robinhood weeklies that we had. And you guys called him Temu Matthew McConaughey, which was hilarious. But Sachin, shout out to you as well. Oh my gosh, bro. This is awesome. This is pretty cool, bro. This is pretty cool. In all seriousness, though, dude, like, I mean, look, a lot of the past couple of years have been dedicated to building my brand. And yeah, that does require some sacrifice from a social perspective. And that requires living in your parents' house, you know, and all the comments on Twitter, oh, you live in your parents' basement. It's like, yeah, but now that I'm moving out, I can afford to move out. I can afford to move out in a very nice location. And I didn't do what the typical 18-year-old, 20-year-old does, which is move out, get into a ton of debt, not have the ability to actually, you know, take risks and build on their own because they're worried about paying rent all the time. And granted, I have parents that allowed me to do that, right? The Indian culture, all that stuff. But I also acknowledged, hey, like, I need to chill. I need to get my shit together for the next 5 years. I need to figure out what I want to do with my life. I need to figure out how do I get my economic mobility to be at a higher level. I need to figure out how to get respect, how to build a brand, how to like invest my money. Like, I need to figure that shit out. And then I can move on to a lot of the other parts of life. And that was the hardest part these past 5 years. But Robinhood and Palantir have been unbelievably amazing at blessing my life and taking me on this journey. And obviously, there was a lot of work that had to be put in to build the brand, to be associated with these two names. I mean, again, I've said this over and over again. In this game, it's very simple. What Erwin's coming. Yeah, but now I'm rich. That's really what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be politically correct. But yeah, now I'm rich, bitch. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm actually trying to say. All this intellectual justifying that. Now I'm rich, bitch. That's what I've been actually trying to say. Anyway, back to normal. In this game, it's very simple, right? It's my voice, everything tones down. In this game, it's what horses do you pick? What horses are you associated with? And just like in sports, bro, if you're bullish on the Knicks, it's not been the right horse to be on. If you've been bullish on the Warriors, you've had a nice horse. You've been able to ride the Warriors up and see them win multiple championships. If you were bullish on the OKC Thunder last year, that was your pick of the year to win the championship. I mean, your credibility as a sports analyst, because you picked the Thunder outside of the Lakers or the Celtics or the Knicks or all these marquee markets, you were able to get more credibility because you were able to see something in that team that the rest of the world didn't see. With Palantir and Robinhood, the credibility, quite frankly, matters a little bit more than the financial gains. And that doesn't mean I'm an expert. That doesn't mean I'm the best investor in the world. I will make a lot of mistakes throughout my career, but it does mean there's a group of people that at least have some respect for you because you were able to attach yourself to the horses that, ended up 10xing. So it's just been an incredible journey. And again, this doesn't happen without the community. I say it over and over again. This doesn't happen. There were people at $9 DMing me on Robinhood as we initially started putting out the tweets of like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? At 15, we were hacking the gold event to figure out what are they actually introducing. And we saw the words credit card. We're like, oh, they're going to do a credit card. They're getting into banking products, yada, yada. We found out they had a brokerage license from Lithuania 2 months ago. Like, oh, maybe they're going into European markets to start really expanding crypto. Like all of this stuff has been a community effort. It cannot happen without everyone coming together. And then my job as a content creator is to just use all that information that I'm crowdsourcing and bring it to the world and make content that people find interesting, but it comes from the community. That's it. It comes from the community. Farzad, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. Is SoFi moving as well? SoFi 1824. There you go. SoFi's up as well. SoFi is up as well. There you go. Robinhood 99.36 right here on the day. Are my July 11th 110 covered calls safe? I think they should be safe. I wouldn't go crazy to roll those. But if you do get to 110, then you can roll them. You know, I don't think you literally have to roll them right now. It might blow past 110 by July 11th, but if it doesn't, you know, and even as soon as it gets to your break evens, if your break evens like, you know, 112, 113, 114, then that's when I would roll them. But I think you'd have to roll them right now. Raul, thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you, Mitt, for everything you do for us. Started buying Hood because of you in the single digits. I'm a retired fireman from NYC. Now all I do is listen to you all day. See you in the Miami meetup. Raul, thank you, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. Congrats on buying Hood in the single digits. And thank you for your work in New York City, for being a fireman and, you know, protecting that city and doing what you did for it. And I'm happy you're showing up to the Miami meetup, dude. I'm so happy to meet people that are going to be in Miami, especially people that have been following from the beginning. So thank you, Raul. Thank you for your service and congratulations for you on the day. Okay. Chris right here in the chat is saying that he wants to tell you guys about his secret stock. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, okay, that's what I'm seeing in the chat. Okay, I wasn't looking at the chat. All right. All right, so here's the thing. Chris, I think if we do this, we should do it tomorrow and you should come on the show and actually explain it. Because it doesn't make sense for me to just like say the name of the stock. Or all right, what do you guys want to do? Do you want him to come on for 5 minutes and explain it? Or do you want to come in? Do you want him to come on tomorrow? What do you guys think? Put in the chat. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? It's got to be like 5 minutes because I have to leave because I have an interview in like 2 hours. So I actually have to get out of here. But he can come on for 5 minutes. Or should I just say it and then he comes on tomorrow to explain the thesis? Should we do that? Should we do that? I think that's easier. That's actually easier because I do have to leave soon. That's actually easier. Okay. So I'll say it. So Chris, come on tomorrow. He'll give you guys the actual due diligence. I'll say the name. And that works out. Yes, yes, yes. That's what we want. That's what we want. Grinder interview. It's not a grinder interview. It's an interview with someone that I think a lot of you guys are going to like. It's an interview with someone that I think a lot of you guys are going to like. All right. I will say the name. I will say the name. Now, just to put this out there, I do not have a position in this name. I have not bought the name ever since Chris mentioned it to me. Quite frankly, not even because I don't really like the thesis. I didn't want to buy it and then not talk about it, you know, because I pretty much talk about all my buys. So Chris can do that because he has his Patreon or whatever. But I personally, even if I have to buy it at a higher price after it's said, I'd rather buy it with you guys if I do buy it. I have not bought it yet. Okay. I have not bought it. So I'm just putting that out there. I have not loaded up on options, have not loaded up on anything. I'm not in this name, but I did hear the thesis. And if I do buy it, I'll let you guys know and we can kind of see from your guys' perspective. What are you thinking? So I'm just going to say the name. I'm not giving the thesis or anything. That's up for Chris tomorrow. Okay. So I'm just saying the name and you guys can then interpret it however you want. And then Chris will give the thesis, but I am not in this stock at all. All right. The name is Newsmax. Okay, so no, I'm just kidding. All right, the name is. Are you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Webull. That is the name. Webull up 3.5% of the day. It's not Josh Brown, by the way. I'm not interviewing Josh Brown. Webull. That is the name. Chris will be on tomorrow. He can explain the thesis, but Webull is the name that. From my understanding, unless Chris's price target has changed, $30 by 2027 is what he sees. He sees a 3x on this by 2027. We'll get him on tomorrow. We'll get him to break down the thoughts and the thesis. This is when I remember when I told you guys that Chris called me and Steve last night, or not last night, like 2 nights ago at like 12 a.m. He frenetically called us and was like, guys, it's Webull. And I don't know if Steve is fully convinced. I think Webull can do well. I don't know if it's, going to 30. I think it's 5 billion market cap, 1 billion in cash. I mean, I think it's possible. I don't know. I have to do a lot more research, quite frankly. I really didn't do much research. But Webull is the name that he's been thinking about. So we'll have Chris on tomorrow. He can give his thoughts on kind of what this thesis is developing on. I think he bought it like 10.50 or 11 is kind of when he bought it. 13. So, it's done okay. Again, this chart is a little ugly, but maybe that's the opportunity. Pumped up to 85, came all the way back down. I think it bottomed at, what is this? $10. Maybe hit $9 once. But realistically, if you think this has bottomed at around that low 10, then that's the name that he's excited about. So that's what we got with Webull. That is the name. That is the name. He'll come on tomorrow. Again, I don't even want to get into the thesis because I don't really understand the thesis as well. And Chris will come on and kind of basically the thesis, he thinks of it as a baby Robinhood, essentially. I mean, that's pretty much the thesis. And I'm sure there's more to it, but he thinks of it as a baby Robin. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. I haven't asked Jason about it. I can get his thoughts, more deeply as he thinks about it as an investment. From the TA, I think he said yesterday, the TA looked nice. We did this stock for Technical Tuesday. But as an investment, I would have to ask him what he thinks about holding it long term. All right, so that's what we got. Webull. That is the stock that Chris has been excited about. Webull right here up about 4.28% on the day. Robinhood, 99.28, up 7.5. Hopefully we get back to 100. Maybe, but even if we don't, it was very, very nice to see 100. What was Steve's initial reaction? Steve's initial reaction was get the fuck out of here. That was that was like a lot of you guys in the chat. But that, the initial reaction is not always the reaction. The initial reaction, and that's actually good. When someone says get out of here, that means it's controversial. You need something to be controversial. Otherwise, there's no alpha, right? You need it to be like if I said, hey, I have this genius idea, Google. It's like, okay, no one really, no one's going to question you that deeply on that. So you do need to make a market. Someone has to be bearish, someone has to be bullish. Vietnam state media, U.S. to significantly cut tariffs for several Vietnamese products. Okay, the market's loving this Vietnam thing. I mean, we don't have a ton of details on the deal yet, but 618.78 right here on the S&P, up 0.18. The market does not hate this this deal right here. Don't you use Webull? Yes. Well, this is Robinhood Legend, but I use Webull. Look, it's a good product. First of all, I'll just say the product is phenomenal. I mean, I know a lot of traders that use Webull, and Webull and Robinhood compete, but they're more active traders, like people that are swing trade, tend to use Webull more than Robinhood. Obviously, I don't think Webull is doing as much innovative stuff as Robinhood in terms of all the different product offerings, but they're also a much smaller company. Robinhood's market cap is now 87 billion, Webull's 5. So I don't know if they have to be as innovative as Hood to, get a move on their stock. But nonetheless, they're not exactly the sort of full-fledged financial institution that's going to take over the world like Robinhood is. Doesn't mean it's the worst company in the world or that it can't have stock appreciation if they execute. Vietnam leader to Lam in phone talk with Trump asked us to remove restrictions on exports of high-tech products to Vietnam. Okay, so we're going to probably get more details soon on if those exports of high-tech products actually get removed. Right now, we have details around the SUVs going into Vietnam and the 40%, 20% tariffs that Trump talked about. But if we get more details, then that would be important as well. All right, cool. That is it for me, folks. I got to get out of here. I will be in New York for the rest of the day. No market open, no market close. Hopefully, our little hoodie seeing triple digits makes up for the lack of market close today. We'll be back tomorrow, market open. Tomorrow's market open, market close will kind of be a longer one because it's a half day, closing at 1 p.m. So tomorrow will be just one stream. And then the podcast that I'm recording today will be out on Friday. I think you guys will enjoy it. It should be a fun one. And I think you guys will enjoy the guest. I think you will enjoy the guest. Literally on the Market Open stream on Monday, the person's press assistant or whatever reached out to me on Twitter. And I'm like, as I'm like doing the stream, I'm like trying to message them back. I'm like, yes, let's get this done Wednesday. Let's do it. Like ASAP. Like when those messages come in, you got to respond immediately and be like, yes, I can be there Wednesday. I'll bring my cameras. Let's get it done. Let's do it. So I think you guys will enjoy it. All right, cool. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you all for the super chats as we look at this super chart of Robinhood doing what it's doing. I mean, again, it's just been an unbelievable journey, blessed beyond imagination. I think the most important part of this journey, outside of me screaming "I'm rich, bitch" for those 5 seconds, is humility and remaining humble throughout the process. I mean, really, I think the most important thing, whether you're a content creator that sees these names go up, whether you're an investor, whether you're a regular person that now sees, a massive amount of money in your account, is to remain humble throughout it. All of it can be taken away in an instant, which is kind of why there is a risk to the reward. But if you do get to sit with the rewards, like so many of you have on Palantir, then giving some of that back is also very important. Giving some of that back is very, very, very important. I mean, when Robinhood got to 77, and I was at McDonald's in California a couple of weeks ago, I was up a lot of money and I gave some back. I gave a nice little tip because so that would be my leaving message for everybody. I mean, I'm going to be in New York today. I'm sure I'll see some homeless people. I will absolutely take a little bit of cash and just give back what I can. I can't change the world. I can't solve all the issues. I'm not Mamdani. I'm not going to make city-run grocery stores. But on a day like this, where I'm as blessed to be in a position that I am, not only financially, but also with this community, and also because this random CEO from Bulgaria took his company to $100, and I got to be a part of that journey, you got to give back. You got to give back in whatever way you can, in whatever freaking way you can. So, yeah, incredible stuff. It's one of those days, one of those journeys. Quite frankly, I really do think we're just beginning. And all of us just have to remain humble throughout this process, because this can easily go away. But this could also get to the 120s, 130s, 140s, 150s. It could pull I mean, it's already pulled a Palantir to an extent. It could continue to pull a Palantir. And I think, one of the coolest things that I know about people in the Palantir community is the far majority of them have had life-changing amounts of wealth. And, they've remained very humble throughout the process. And same thing right here with Robinhood. So there you go. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys. 98.63 on Robinhood. Hopefully we do get that $100 close. I'm out. Gonna go do this podcast. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a big podcast. It's not as big as Vlad. That was the big one last year. I do think it's bigger than the Figure CEO, because not that many people know the Figure CEO, even though that was a big podcast, but I think it's bigger than him in terms of the guy's brand and his world, his reputation in the world of finance. But I think you guys will enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody for being here. Word of the day is hoodie. We're doing word of the day is hoodie. Word of the day is hoodie. We got to give it to hoodie. Hoodie is the word of the day. $100 freaking on this stock. 2.5 years. It's just been a hell of a journey. And it's one of those journeys that I'm not going to forget for the rest of my life. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.